And welcome back to class. Radiant Academy 105 is now in session with yours truly, Zobi, joined by the amazing Jaren. And it's spooky season, Jaren. You know, Halloween's coming up. We get some new spicy matchups here this edition. And this is your first time as well coming into the Radiant Academy. So how are you feeling, and maybe what are you most excited for? And like new teachers do, they sometimes, have a funny debut. And Jaren, now here you are. Yes. Oh, they're still okay. Jaren's amazing, guys. While they troubleshoot their mic issues, I'm gonna do an introduction for them because I feel like that's kind of standard when you have like a new teacher or a guest speaker joining you in the classroom, right? So Jaren is actually an amazing Game Changers EMEA caster. I got to work with them over with the Dive Productions, and they are currently, don't worry, they're not like up in the middle of the night. They're actually here studying abroad right now in NA. So we get the time zone mesh, and now they're jumping over to cover some Game Changers action in North America with the Radiant Academy. And they've also worked as an admin in the background for Radiant, so I'm really excited that I was able to kind of be like, I want to cast with them. And so now they're here.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Right. There they are. See?
Yes.
Jared, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah.
Came in a bit late, but it's my first time. So yeah, it's my first time in NA, and actually, since you said spooky season, it's gonna be my first Halloween ever as well. So
do you have your costume picked out?
Yes, I do. I actually like there's been like some like early Halloween parties going on already, like across campus. So yeah, I'm dressed as an angel, and
Aww.
yeah, it's just been really fun, like being in a especially like being in the casting scene as well, just to see like how the matches have been going on. And I'm really excited to cast Radiant Academy today.
Yeah, for sure. I know you've been getting into the collegiate world too, which is really big in NA specifically.
Yeah.
But like you said, and there's no partying here, Jaren. I know you've been going to Halloween parties in college, but this is Radiant Academy. We have to get back to the lesson at hand, which is that after a fierce 8-team round robin group stage, we now have our top 16 teams seeded into our single elimination bracket to battle out and see who will be our top student for this class session of 105. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at that bracket really quickly so we can see the teams that are sorry, bracket is top 8. I lied to you guys. We gotta eliminate some teams first, all right? Not all of the students, make the honor roll. It's only the top teams. So we'll take a look at that in our next round, our second best of 3 of the day. But Jared, we can see the top 16. Were there any kind of team names that you recognized from when you were adminning that you're happy to see here in the playoffs?
Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of like familiar teams that it's been so long actually, and I feel like for like 5 months at least that I've like admin for like Radiant as well. But maybe Blaha gang. I feel like it was really like familiar for me, and yeah, I just like I think they made it to our like top 16, top 8 as well. I think so. So it will be really interesting to see like how they improved from like the previous stages. I'm really excited to see that. But yeah, well, like any teams that catches your attention as we go on.
Yeah, I think for me, right now I have like 3 kinda which are catching my eye. The first 2 are Hyperspeed Red because they made their debut last Radiant Academy and I think made top 8 like this quarterfinals, which was really strong performance from names I hadn't heard in the scene before. And also they're like their CEO of the organization was like watch partying it super hype, and there was some insane moments that game. I'm also excited because Catface, which is like a little :3, is making a return. They kind of like disbanded. They actually competed really well in the actual main Game Changer circuit, but I think this is a newer addition, maybe some new Pugs members, but some of the founding ones, I think like Luna Fox are coming back to have some fun. And then the last one that I'm looking forward to is actually Kitty Tactics, which is one of the 2 teams competing in our first best of 3 of the day here for the round of 16 which is going to be Kitty Tactics versus YDZ Black. Now, I think you probably recognize, like, I think some of these YDZ Black competes a lot in Radiant Academy, but Kitty Tactics is a little pug squad. It's a little play on name from Teddy Tactics for those who know the NA scene, which was a main event team, and they even brought on 2 main event players. That's the max you can have in Radiant Academy. I think of Raven and Oranges. So I'm excited to see how they play with the rest that are filled in that group of 5.
Yeah, definitely. And just going forward, I'm really interested to see how these teams compete, because we're in game changes off season right now. So
Yes.
we talked about this kind of like before we went live, but I'm like really expecting some like unconventional like plays so because there's like nothing to hide anymore, and like this is like the time of the year where you want to just like showcase your skills to join maybe like an official roster, and
For sure. And this is one of the last events that's going to be on the old competitive map pool as well, where Lotus and what's the other map? And Icebox, sorry, are still in the pool, all right? So we're actually going to go take a look at that best of 3 map picks and bans for this series to see if those are going to be in the pool, if we get like one last hurrah of them here perhaps as they get to fill in here. Shout out again to this beautiful broadcast package. We're getting it written up on the scrap sheet of paper, and there it is, right? Lotus, Abyss. And drum roll, please, the final map of Icebox. We get to both of them possibly here. So, Jared, what's your knee-jerk reaction?
Oh my god. Like, you can see me, but like my wow. Wow, these maps are just really like particular, it's because like not all teams like playing them, especially Abyss. Like I've seen teams like ignore Abyss like the plague, like ever since it was released. So for Kitty Tactics to just go ahead and pick Abyss is like really like refreshing to me. But what do you think?
No, for sure. So interestingly enough, and I'm glad you mentioned Abyss being a big one, Kitty Tactics has played like only Abyss in their group stage. And that's because they got a bye. They only had to play 2 games, so it's not too many. Versus the side of YDZ Black, right? They've gone for diversity. They have played, I believe it was Icebox, Haven, and drum roll please for the final one, because again it's hard to navigate, an Abyss. So they've also played it, right? So when we talk about the teams that may have won this map veto, in my mind I do see that maybe YDZ Black has a little bit more experience like in this map pool and as a team, because they are that consistent roster, like I said, that has been playing in these Radiant Academies back to back. They play in the qualifiers as well. So I'm glad to see that even though it is the off season, they're still working like on themselves here, because I think that's something in the NA scene that sometimes is lacking, is that rosters don't stick together, so then they don't get to kind of build that chemistry. But they're up against a pug squad that has like a lot of just raw firepower, and sometimes pug squads equal unpredictability in the compositions and the play styles. And I think one of the members as well that's on that roster, Kurosu, has just been like a stellar sub across multiple teams in the Game Changers scene, so they are super flexible as a player. So it's so hard to say, but we are getting ready to jump into Lotus, which is our first map, and that agent select is ready as well. Jared, what are you hoping to see?
Really hoping for, like, since we've been like going like unconventional map pool, I'm wanting to see some unconventional agents. I want to see like Chloe, I want to see Vice perhaps. So, and yeah, I mean, like, we're kind of not really locked in with every agent currently, but yeah, I'm liking what I see currently, because like the oranges, yeah, Gecko Pig, and after the recent chamber buffs, seeing Caroso in the chamber is going to be really interesting to see as well.
Yeah, for sure. We're not getting any Vice, sadly. I know I was telling you about how like this is the one map we could see it on here, but I completely agree with you. I think Kurosu on the chamber is going to be a really nice fit here. Now, I'm interested to see, like I said beforehand, Kurosu, Oranges, and Raven, they've played together like before, versus Mint and Chris are kind of like the newer like puggy members to complete this squad of 5 that is going to be now Kitty Tactics instead. So especially Mint being kind of in that spotlight on that, and Neon as well. I am a little bit curious, because I feel like in my mind when I see a Neon, I want that Breach as well, which is what YDZ is putting Rover on, kind of to set them up for success. So I don't know if we're going to see maybe that coordination with Oranges, or if Mint's just going to have to be that kind of standalone fragger.
I feel like, in the collegiate matches I've been casting, I've seen a lot of, like, if you really trust your duelist, you make her like choose Neon.
Delete all the audio sources
and use all of your utility for just like go into sites.
Yeah. All right. Well, What else? I think we saw YDZ Black's composition, right? It was very, very traditional, I think, for Lotus, right? We had like the Fade, the Breach, the Rays. What do you think that's gonna kind of bring to this versus maybe, I guess, a little bit more variation that Kitty Tactics brought to the table?
Wait, could you rephrase the question?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
been so
so-
like just thinking
Yeah.
about
So
like,
what
the
do you
neon,
what do you
but-
think like for the like Breach and like Fade in particular, right? Like
yeah.
what do you think they're gonna like bring to say like the attack half of Lotus?
So I think just with the breach particularly, it's like really good to like distract the enemy if you're if you want to fake a site. I want to say they could be using it just for like actual executions as well as like really like agent as like really utilizable. But yeah, I'm really seeing like I really want to see like action and chaos inflicted by these agents.
Well, you're getting some action and chaos here off the rip. Pistol starting out strong here. Got some fault line to destroy, or sorry, deny space over towards A main, but the real efforts were to clear out Mound here from Kitty Tactics. You know, it's pretty standard utility here. I did like the proactive spy cam there so they could have these immediate rotations, but now it might just be an all-out duel here on the site.
Yeah, and with the Riper really quite needing to see as well. It seems like a one and done deal. They want to really enter C, but it's not going to be easy with Illy still standing here.
All right. So for now, it's all a fake. They recognized, I think, that there was a heavy rotation, but what they didn't recognize was that Cross Unity never left A main. They get out, untraded here, retuck, and now they even have the Breach at their side to bail them out. So beautiful flash, but Kurosu dodging it, only semi-blinded, able to get that refrag here. And Oranges, as well with a clean kill, means that they are going to be running onto this A site. Nice timing from Zoe, but it is not enough to deny the overall plant and the overall site take.
Yeah, the spike will be planting inside of Kitty Tactics, but this retake seems imminent currently. Zoe, if she positions herself really nicely, she could get the kill, but Kurosu is one step ahead of that. Illy is there for the retake though. Alisa just with 5 HP, and the spray down just works out in the end, and Kitty Tactics win their pistol round.
Yeah, again, I liked kind of how YDZ Black was patient, keeping those players over towards A, so when the rotation came through, they still were able to contest head on. But again, sometimes aim is really, really clean there. They were able to find Cross Unity. Again, Rover did everything that they needed, they were supposed to do, right, to help them get out of that corner. And unfortunately, they just overstayed their welcome there. I liked the chip damage as well. That maybe would have allowed the YDZ member to refrag it a little bit quicker when they collectively exceeded back onto that site. But they kind of didn't have as many numbers, and just when they came in together, it didn't pan out. So now, I mentioned pistol round leads to heavy weaponry and a heavy exec.
Yeah, mint. I mean, having these like rapid like run and gun guns in hand is just like really favorable for you. And we were just like talking about like the neon just like going in and making space. We can exactly see that from the squad of Kitty Tactics, and they seem really good right now inside, but they could be like a flank situation going on that they need to pay attention to.
Yeah, it would be a really nice pinch play if they can take this revolving door. But look at how deep the members like the Viper and the Gecko are. So they push in a mound, they're going to get pinched as well. But all this does is just keep players here. Nice little audio cue draw. And now the real numbers are going to funnel in through Waterfall. But there's so much utility since Min just opened up the site by dashing in with a Stinger. They're going to have a lot to try and deter this, right? We had I was going to say the Viper util, but... Get on Spike, and Zoe's just sticking it. It's not exactly planted for them, but Chris with a ghost. Jared, tell me, why is it always the player with a ghost that frags out insanely well on these buy rounds?
I don't know. There's just something about that gun, I feel like. Especially in like, we see a lot of like ghost aces and the pistol round especially, but even like for like a bonus round, ghost is like extremely favorable, I feel. Yeah, and you can... Yeah, Kitty Tactics, I feel like they're still just rolling out from that bonus gun swips. But Min still seems to be holding on to the running gun they have.
Yeah, I mean, if you can entry with it, why not? You're still doing your job. You're still accomplishing the goal of taking these sites, and they are going for it again. And it's been a lot of this nice utility, like the Dizzy to clear out the space. They're even destroying that cam round after round. But now there's a 3-stack.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still gonna be C. It looks like some noise was made, but they're kind of interested in seeing where A leads, I feel. We can see this like fast rotation coming in, but there's still two players of YDZ Black to deal with, and when Zoe is getting those kills, side exec is gonna be even harder.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised we had like the double lurk, right, of Kurosu with that Viper player, because you're maybe only expecting the Viper, especially when there's this default toxic screen up. But now that they've lost that player, no more trademark on the flank, they haven't even really taken this site control either. They're trying to find frags beforehand, trying to find weapon upgrades, and just no chances are being taken by YDZ Black here to give them those opportunities, which is really nice.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, YDZ Black keeps getting these kills against them. Oh, KD Tactics. His position was good. The kill was good. And Chris is able to get away, but now is pinch.
Ooh.
Oh, the double TP. I like it, but it does not save Chris in the end. And KD Tactics only left with oranges.
Okay.
Positioning worked.
Play it down. They've already done their job of damaging this buy here on their bonus, but Oranges is going out for more. No utility though. A great dark covers. Zoe's just sticking it all the way. Pros don't fake for a reason because you're too late. Both will survive. They'll get the round on the board.
Yeah, with 20 seconds to save as well. That's the first buy really worked out for them. Key Tactics now, even though they lost the last round, they still have the means to go for like full sheets and vandals. But yeah, let's see if they can keep the momentum up against YDZ Black's, last round.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we talk about last round, the repercussions. Now look how scattered the buy is for YDZ Black, right? You have a Stinger.
Yeah.
When you're trusting your Cypher to anchor this C site, you have some light shields here. And so I do like that they're getting aggressive here with this little trio over towards A main, because they got to keep control. A retake's going to be a lot harder with the weapons that they have on hand, which is also why I think we're about to see some coordination between this Cypher and this Paranoia backside from Ellie.
Oh, Ellie, are you ready for this? This question.
There it is.
Paranoia is still ready in hand, and some players blinded, but she's blinded as well. Means goes in and gets the kill. Ooh, there's still some pressure, like over from B's side, but wow. In the blink of an eye, the round is over.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the blink really happens twice there, right? Once is that Dizzy from Oranges completely countering a beautiful timing off of that Paranoia from Ellie so that we can get that frag. Because if Mint follows there, then they're not going to pivot as quickly aside the rest of the team for that kind of mid-rotating door play, right? That pinch play that we said. We thought YDZ Black was going to try a few rounds prior, but they pull it out then. And while they get the initial jump, just again, the speed, the efficacy of the communication there from Kitty Tactics to stall it is really clean. But speaking of clean, might be an eco round, but Zoe opening it up with a nice kill. And that was peeking a Marshall into a tour de force. Talk about gutsy.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting, but it ended without even starting, which is like really like courageous, like just to take that shot with a Marshall. But it gives now KT Tactics the opportunity to even, like push C more. There's still 3 players here that they have to deal with, but their utility is ready, and Ellie is just on a count of 4. Goes with the Paranoia in and escapes with her life alive, and it's a flawless round for YDZ Black. What happened there?
Two things. One, not even a flawless, but a flawless thrifty. And it comes off of 2 things. One, you gotta clear your corners. That's the crux of that issue there. They got away criminally. And number 2, we got some GCD action from Cross Unity as well. And I mean, I think it was really creative as well from Rover, right? Their job is to support their teammates, so they can do that from behind revolving door with the fault line. And once their job's done there, they said, why don't I just replicate the same play from last round? They won't expect it twice, and they surely did not. So fighting and sneaking away with a classic kill there as well was really, really clean. So now they have guns and they have ultimates, so this is a great way to get back into the action.
Oh yeah, and Cross is just ready for this position, just up close and personal. Will he be Kurosu is a question, and yes, Zoe does. And once again, Kurosu is the first one to be killed into the equation. I don't know, kills are going back and forth, but YDZ Black seems to have the upper hand in this fight.
Yeah, even though they got the trade off of the showstopper, overall this Nightfall doing wonders there to set up kind of the chaos, the misconstruing information. They could not pinpoint where all these players were coming from. And also, now they can't figure out where they repositioned to either. The first clue only is going to be at Prowler coming out here. So you know the Fade's on B, but you don't know where the Breach is. You don't know where the Omen is. And the big crux is that Cypher's playing A instead of C this round as well. So that's a big shift up in the defensive approach from YDZ Black. And KD Tactics might just gamble towards the correct site this go around.
Yeah, and you have the double initiator setup at B, but we don't really talk about. They're just like ready, and I feel like KD Tactics have not gone B like so far to know what's hiding there, and they'll be trying once again for the C pick. But Elliot just with these tight angles cannot find a kill actually. Chris gets the kill, and the spike should be down.
Yep, and again, like I said, that was the best gamble they could have made, right? You either have a Cypher's done on A, the double initiator on B, or a solo Omen C with a lot of their utility already invested. But speaking of utility investments, a Mosh so they can claim space here, but all they're doing really is flipping the site off of that revolving door. And now, beautiful utility usage here to isolate both into 1v1s. Rover, really clean 3-piece, and just like that, we are going to be tied 3-3.
Yeah, a really good, you know, step forward by YDZ Black, because they realize KD Tactics' tendency to just go C, and if C doesn't work, okay, let's maybe try A then. And it hasn't really been like so far like KD Tactics just like going B at all. So I feel like they just like know like what to expect, and they're not that surprised when, for example, they fake C but then they decide to go C, you know.
For sure. And this is a really interesting start to this map, because number one, it's YDZ's pick, but also it's a Lotus, which is attack sided, and KD Tactics chose to start out on the easier half. So if this ends a 6-6 half or anything remotely close to that, then I'd say YDZ Black is in a great position, especially when they have that Breach and that Fade, which is really, really heavy, right, on I feel like, execution towards site plays. But speaking of execution towards site, really abandoned A site for the taking, because they're hinging on, like I said, a Rolling Thunder for a retake. There it is. It's going to deny the plant, and here comes the cacophony of utility to set up what should be a re-entry, but no one takes the leap.
Oh yeah, Alyssa is still in heaven as well, but not willing to drop down quite just yet. They're maybe waiting for these players to come through flank and clear some of these positionings. Alyssa actually dares to go forward. She's going in with these kills, just running, gunning it. Gets 3 kills before going down in the hands of Chris, but still, the tactics, just Raven left alive, and Rover is going to be defusing this. Okay, wait, the spam through the smoke is not expected. The spike is halved, and Ellie just is going to be waiting for the spam. Brutal. YDZ Black once again gets the round, and we're 4-3.
Amazing patience out of YDZ Black on multiple fronts. Obviously, Ellie crowning out the 1v1 there to get the lead back for YDZ Black. But also when I talked about all that utility investment from Rover, like the Rolling Thunder, like the Aftershock to start clearing out this space, they weren't taking that dive, that like leap that I talked about, because they were waiting for the scale up there on the flank from Cross, Unity, and Zoe. So it was really, really clean. Allowed them to clear out main so that players like Raven were the only ones standing outside of site to play down that plant location. And maybe also was a miscom that it wasn't planted directly for main as well. So again, they're throwing off these post-plant approaches, and because of that, I need to see some more aggression on KD Tactics, and they are trying to deliver on it.
Yeah, and I will just reach it to stop their Neon and to just getting at the side. It worked for some time, but Raven still is able to find those kills. It's the opposing duelist. Oh, the spike was gonna be down, but now you're seeing this Viper split to even, you know, go forward and solidify that. But the spike, I feel like, is planted outside of that Viper split. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, again, I don't know if it's a miscom, or maybe they're just trying to take control of stairs, this main re-entry point towards this site. I mean, when you have a stack and tree like this, they should be able to suppress back site really well with the Mosh, with a spray down on the drop. But now that places a heavy burden on Raven, because now if Raven falls, so does your control over the site. Now there are so many players here just stuffed into tree, and it requires a hero to step forward. Kurosu is trying to be that player, a really late wraparound through main, and they are, you know, making it work.
Oh, it actually works, but Alyssa is stuck with an
They want the up.
Cannot get up, actually.
Hey, they got it. Maybe?
Oh no, it's not gonna be enough to escape.
Oh.
The elf is lost, but Yeah, and the round loss as well. Now Kitty Tactics once again making the score even here. 4-4, and the timeout is
Interesting.
imminent. Yeah, so what do you think they should be talking about in this timeout, Sophie?
I think for me, I saw that it was like 3-4 Kitty Tactics trailing, and I'm like, they're not a team that's going to take timeouts. But why is he black? Definitely appears to be that kind of team. I do think to me this is interesting. I think it's not necessarily like trying to fix too many mistakes, because if I was a coach, I would be happy that on your defensive half, right, that you've already gotten 4 rounds. It's kind of your safety net. But I think they're trying now to take that opportunity, this recognition that, hey, we're getting a lot of rounds in our defensive half. How can we continue to make them happen, right? Like, what has been our win con? Identify it, replicate it. And for me personally, I think it really has been in kind of these cohesive, or I guess kind of map control aimed retake approaches. Like, instead of just all of them kind of funneling in through the typical points like top, like stairs, I really liked that flank play, for example. So I want to see maybe work the map a little bit more, right? I feel like I really like me a good flank. I like to see maybe a Cypher, especially if Cypher is going to go back to setting up C, like pushing through Mountain when they see there's no presence. Like, neither of these teams, I feel like, is trying to do anything off the book, right? They're just kind of respecting each other and taking the duels on the sides that they're execing on to.
Yeah, true. Like, other than I'd say like Mint's, just running against style that was like setting up Kitty Tactics for the past 3 rounds. I feel like it's pretty like by the textbook. Yeah, as you said, and you can see the. Okay, wait. This could be different, and she received quite a bit of damage actually, and Orange is now going in with all of his utility, but it tags nobody.
And they didn't even clear trees, so Cross Unity still here to facilitate Zoe. And Mint, you talked about that run and gun. It's been handled, but now the rest of the team is rallying behind to try and challenge Zoe, and Zoe's still not getting shut down. 36 HP goes for more, but they finally have bitten off more than they can chew. And that is going to leave Alyssa with a 4v1, and they cannot clutch it out. 3 members going to survive. Kitty Tactics really use that time out for their own advantage, as they are going to maintain this lead.
Yeah, I feel like the reaction there from YDZ Black, it wasn't bad, but it just got out of control like so fast.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think it's partially, again, the scare tactic of a Thrash coming at you, is that it's going to throw off the angles they wanted to hold initially. But this is what I want to see. Creativity, trying to write a new page here on an eco round, right? 5 players swinging pillar. Nice flash here. The question is, how is Kitty Tactics going to recognize this? They think they realize it's going to be a full team.
You're gonna expect it? Okay, they have Vandals, so they're getting some kills here, and Ellie is just good for 1, but okay, this is so back and forth, but it just does not work with the guns in hand, unfortunately. Key Tactics, once again, it's an easy round. It didn't end up being an easy round for them.
No. 2 players surviving there, like, if Zoe hits that second shot onto Oranges, and Mint had to clutch out there, I think that would have been a very different situation, right? Mint was all the way, I think, isolated on Mounds, so there probably would have been at least a little bit of time for YDZ Black to collect their trophies or those upgraded weapons, but that's why it is kind of a momentum reset, right? It's an all or nothing, and unfortunately YDZ Black walks away with nothing, aka the lack of a round. So Kitty Tactics reached that 6, that safety net, and I talked about 4 being kind of the minimum you want here, which is what YDZ Black is trying to avoid.
Yeah, you're seeing like, once again, this pretty normal A setup here, and Rover finds a kill actually in B. They were showing like pressure on both sides, so it could have gone like both sides, I feel, but now Raven is also rotating for the A. Oh, they have to watch out for 2 players here. This should be unexpected.
Oh. And I really like this neural theft because it allows you to guide that showstopper to victory and maybe even victory in the round. These rounds have been so quick here. And again, giving no time, I feel like, to adjust at all here, Jared.
Yeah, and they're giving Rover the defuse to like be a step closer to their ult, and they're gonna be using that hopefully to make the score even, 6-6. I mean, no, it just like I feel like it's really good to finish at 6-6, like pretty even. And yeah, you
sure.
have like you have like equal opportunities to rise up, so it doesn't put you in like a difficult position. No, yeah,
And
but yeah.
I
Go on.
think Kitty Tactics is interesting as well because they kind of took my advice in terms of trying to set up widespread control, like to have a plan B. And what do we see? Rover dropped that idea on its head, right? They're like, Kurosu, we're
Yeah.
gonna take you out here. And so now Kurosu's trying to bolster up the attack here with their tour de force. The second time Zoe has bested them on the sniper rifle. Marshall, Vandal, you name it, it's working. But speaking of what isn't working for this squad, Trapwires are the perfect counter to Min, a perfect counter to a Neon, and they have completely stalled out a site eggs like this go around for Kitty Tactics.
Yeah, and Alyssa is still set up in this site. There's still some pressure, still some players here just waiting to rotate at the call of Alyssa. Although she's not able to get the kill, but does quite a bit of damage onto Raven. Now they're into site, but the Gecko will be planting a spike. Well, I wonder how they'll be playing out this 3v3 right now when this Nightfall is not gonna be favorable for them at all. Okay, Raven the swing out, but Cross and Zoe are just way too good.
Yeah, I wanted to see that operator earlier. Oh my goodness. Like, they were insane that round from the opening frag to even somehow being able to close out that 1v2 with their team at their side, the trusting cross unit to hold their angles. And like I said beforehand, that timeout was like purely preventative, right? This is what they wanted. They wanted a 6-6 half or more, which, like I said, on an attack-sided map like this is going to be huge, especially when you look at the composition for Kitty Tactics. Like, yes, the Viper and I guess a double controller brings you some hope for a defensive half, but they have nothing close to the site hold kind of anchorability of a Sentinel like a Cypher, right? And that's going to put, I think, a lot more pressure as well onto Kurosu, because in your mind, right, the chamber, you gotta like live and die by your site control, right? Like, you're not necessarily swinging off of your own utility. Like, you are putting your life on the line to take these duels. And I'm interested to see if they are going to step up this half in particular. But aside from that, if you're using this utility like this breach to deny any aggressive plays A main as well, then I think YDZ Black is going to have really easy times countering this composition.
And yeah, with the new TP plays here, Kurosu is positioned way ahead in C mount, so that's a lot of space taken and a lot of site control for Kitty Tactics right now. So they know like pretty much what to expect out of their whereabouts. There's no noise cease, and there was some pressure made on A, but now it seems like with 1 minute left on the clock, the YDZ Black will be attempting to go into B side.
Again, I like the bot plays. They have a lot of utility to facilitate it. Already being spicy on a pistol, and it feels like it was at first just one player after another swinging.
Oh my
one
God.
player was almost enough. 3 kills, quick succession for Min, but unfortunately it is not enough. Alyssa says, wait guys, holding the flank, let me get into the action, and they become the star. YDZ Black reclaim the lead with that pistol victory, and whew, alright, Jaren.
Yeah, Mint just running out of bullets there. Oh my god. I wonder if the rounds outcome would have been different if they still had that firepower, right? It was just 1v1, but yeah, that run ends up going to YDZ Black. Really good to set up the force buy, and you're seeing Kitty Tactics still going for the eco.
And that's why I wanted to see a creative strategy here, perhaps, but not really seeing much. And I love this from YDZ Black, right? They're expecting a similar approach to what they themselves did on an eco round, a defensive half, which is that group up kind of attack strat. But what they do here is they make it seem like business like normal for the defensive half, right? And then they go for the gamble stack group up here on the C side. So you're not expecting it, right? Like last you knew the Neon was on A, right? They were sending out that really bold over towards main. That's what your fade calmed to you. But they rotated to the C site, and I wish they had stayed, because now they're off site. They're not going to have as much, I feel like, power to close out this site with their team. And will YDZ follow through? That is the real question.
Yeah, and right now Kitty Tactics is trying to cover for whatever side they're not right now, and they're trying to switch to other sides, but now the noise is made, so they're in the right side to do something about it, but they only have classics.
Power numbers is going to be everything here, but once again, with how deep Zoe is into the B site, they said, yeah, let's just go to an alternative site. Use a 0 utility to take the site control. And now they have all of this for a post plant plus the numbers advantage. So this job just got a lot harder on Kitty Tactics. They have no surprise element, no site control, no weaponry, and they have to fight through all of this. Cages, smokes, additional rounds of recon utility. It is going to be so hard, and somehow Krosu's done it. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Only Krosu does it.
Yeah, Kurosu with the temporary utility is good to start off, but not enough to, you know, commit and get the round. And YDZ, the anti-eco actually pays off. But now you're gonna see Kitty Tactics just go in full force for this. I mean, we saw pretty much like the same happening in the first half of the game, where Kitty Tactics was ahead, and then, you know, YDZ Black just caught up to them. But let's see if they're able to do the same.
Yeah, this round's gonna be really interesting because remember from last half, right? Kitty Tactics put a major dent into the rifles of YDZ Black. So I'm curious to see if YDZ can do the same to Kitty Tactics, or yeah, if moves like this are just gonna work out and they're gonna deny anything from this bonus. But a trade back makes this a 4v4, and that's a promising trade. Duelist for duelist, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And now left with all of your other players, Spike still is towards C, but I think they're waiting on some comms from Alyssa to just commit to the side in the end. Okay, Curse spots a pixel out of place. Now A is a site for consideration for YDZ Black, and making a lot of noise here. The spike is over towards this side as well, so it's going to be luring all of these Kitty Tactics players.
You know, I'm glad you pointed out Alyssa, because they are definitely at the crux of this, right? The selling of the A fake, also seeing if it was a viable option, because when you've lost your duelist, you do have to like draw these players off these sites and make it a little bit softer of a kind of battle ground for you, and that's exactly what they've done, right? Now your Viper's late to get back here. They're playing from Waterfall, an unoptimal angle. Now they're playing inside of the dark cover as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Alyssa, really late neural theft here as well, is going to set them up beautifully in these post-plant positions.
Yeah, to make sure where everybody is, and Ellie is able to escape just in time to not die to the mosh. Orange is just going in with the flash for this retake, but the Cypher utility is just way too good, and Ellie is just ready to take these kills, to take these fights. Now Kitty Tactics, only 2 players left alive. Just trying whatever you can with your utilities, Oranges and Raven. Oh, he's a tap onto the spike and gets 1 kill, making numbers even now. Still, so much to play with Alyssa and 2 players up mount. It's gonna be really hard to play from this angle and contest. There's pressure here. Oh, Raven gets 1 kill, but the time should not be enough. Yeah.
Ooh.
1 second and it all goes down.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting round because you lost your bye round, right? That's 3 rounds in a row. The bonus won out by YDZ Black. Secondly, Orange is there with the Gecko utility was more using like the wingman to clear out space, clear out corners, than getting them on the spike, right? And we saw from Rover there how hard that post-plant position is to play for the spray down. Like those bullets were not landing onto Raven, right? If there was more time, Raven would have won out that round, but the timer expires. So I maybe want to see maybe some better usage there in my mind of that utility. But aside from that, they're also just trying to take this aggression to new heights, and unfortunately they are going to go plummeting down the same way.
It just doesn't work. They were not expecting Alyssa's trap fires to be like posted up so close in A. And Koros is going to be attempting the same, gets out just with 1 HP alive. Not a good start for Kitty Tactics.
Yeah, again, losing your primary duelist, gotta be rough, and now it's gonna be rougher when you have a lot of utility here. Like, yes, you get the raise, okay, GCDs, Oranges, they're funneling in one after another, and finally they have cut their losses here. Dark cover, recover the spike, get out of dodge, but they're trying to now bait these weapon upgrades, and unfortunately they are just beyond the threshold of that trap wire, so it's still easy pickings for Kitty Tactics, and I love this. They don't follow through, they don't push the agenda, they fall back to safety, at least temporarily.
Yeah, but YDZ Black is feeling comfortable to still go for an A push here, actually. They know that the majority of players are here, the attention and the prowl, and the blind is just going in, and Chris gets a kill into Alyssa. Now Prowl's left alone. No utility to use, and the swing out just does not happen. Chris with a 3-piece. Now scores the first round. for key tactics after the second half.
And I'm not saying that Thrifty was like required, but it definitely felt like a really nice notion, considering YDZ Black would have been on double digits there if you lost it, and then you would have only had like 3 strikes and you're out kind of mentality until this map was gone. So this is a great way back in, and now a great time for a little breather, a little pause here as well for the squad before a really important rifle round, right? This is going to determine in my mind if we're going to be tied at 9-9 or if YDZ Black is going to start trooping ahead towards their map victory.
Yeah, definitely. And those heroics by Kitty Tactics was just amazing. I was not expecting like so many like sheriff kills right there on A main at all, actually. But what do you think right now they should be doing to get the score back up and just catch up to YDZ?
I think I Mint has been kind of interesting because I feel like their first half they were doing really well on the entries, making space for their team, allowing them to get the plant down. And then this half, when they're throwing themselves into similar duels here, it feels like when you're kind of in control of your own spawn, like the defensive half the attack half is at this point, where they get to decide where they're going. They're just set up really well, right, to counter that, right? They're just grouping up, shutting them down collectively. So I either want to see them like again in an unconventional position. I think there was that one round where they did walk away with the first blood, was when they pushed Mound and like were able to outpace a lot of that utility, and you expect a Neon on A because that's what they were conditioning them for. Or maybe just have your Neon like play back a little bit more, play for site control, which is interesting because I am a fan, I think, on Lotus of the more kind of proactive defensive approach where you take like Mound or a Rebel control. But like I said, you're losing such an important player really early on, and even if I guess you find their duelist as the trade, we saw how YDZ Black is good at still mid-rounding and adjusting, finding those gaps or making them with lurk players like Alyssa. So again, then that goes back to you as a team have to just go off of communication and make a decision without having these contact-based plays.
Yeah, and I feel like YDZ Black are really good too. You know, that Alyssa play on A main, you don't really expect like the enemy's sentinel to make those, you know, contact plays, and like using the cages as the smokes and just like the camps to like bait out, you know, the angles. I really like that play by YDZ Black, just like to like fake out A side and instead going to C. So I'm really expecting them to like go bold in their like agents, based on like they're not really playing, for example, like their agents by the book, which I really like. But I feel like they have like a really good like counter to Kitty Tactics Mint, because you know in the attack side we saw Mint's usually playing like these you know, really aggressive, just going in, getting those kills, just making the space and really being unpredictable. So they're trying to counter that by, okay, so let's, you know, maybe like try to stop the Neon's aggression so that we don't fall back. And yeah, as the timeout has ended now, we'll see if, you know, they'll be paying particular attention to that.
And so far, it looks like a fairly similar defensive approach from Kitty Tactics, right? You're not going to see drastic changes out of a tech pause since you aren't allowed to communicate like you are at attack pause. Interestingly enough, though, we're going to see a very similar commitment, though, ahead on duel here. And like I said, this just makes it more of a gamble. It doesn't mean that Kitty Tactics is disadvantaged, but if they lose it, then they are in dire straits. And that's why I like that they have finally disengaged instead of overstaying their welcome. They set up this crossfire for the main entry point onto A. Little bit of a question mark on the defensive hold, maybe over here towards Street. They decided to go through with it, but it looks like they're generating for another pop play out of this smoke here, but there's no Dizzy to set that up.
Yeah, also YDZ Black are just expecting there to be like a aggressive play out on B or C. You can still see Alyssa and, you know, Rover just standing back and watching their plays here.
Ooh.
Okay, a lot of information gathered from that ult usage there.
No, for
KD
sure.
Tactics. Yeah.
Really clean. Like I said, I wanted them to try and make these decisions without contact-based plays. So what do? You send in from the shadows. You get that information that you need, that this is still an A hit. And now I love this bait, but you gotta hit your shots. Oranges, that trade is lethal when you could have come up with 3. Now, it's going to be a 3v3, and the crux is that Zoe with those 2 frags now has a showstopper for the post plant. This is an interesting call considering that ult advantage, but the angle, and that's your showstopper gone.
Okay, Chris gets the kill and TP's out of there, and Rover all of a sudden left alone. And being cornered from all of these sides. Oh, too much noise going
What?
on, but gets those 2 kills. And Kurosu now will you be the hero? Swaps out his guns and the swing out just does not commit. Kurosu wins another round for Kitty Tactics here. What a
Oh.
play though by Rover.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but like round after round that YDZ Black has won has been off of Rover 3 pieces, just supporting the team and still being there to self-serve their own purposes and trying to clutch out these rounds. Unfortunately, this time they do lose it. And what I said was going to be a really defining round for this map, right? Like now that they've lost it, YDZ is on an eco. Kitty Tactics an opportunity to tie things up here again. And we saw 30 from Kitty Tactics. This would be a perfect time for one from YDZ Black. They got the Fatal, they got the Showstopper, and yes, a miscom maybe cost them the last round in terms of when they could have invested the Showstopper for fighting for top site control. Now it generates a new opportunity where they can try and flip the economy back into their favor. But for Kitty Tactics, though, I mean, they're still gonna have a bye even if they lose this round, Jaren. So is this going to be Kitty Tactics taking the lead, or what can YDZ Black do to stop it?
I think, they were, what, how they played, what how, I'm just so excited to say this, right? YDZ Black, when they were in the defender side, I feel like they just, they were quiet for a bit, but I really liked how they switched it up, for example, with the aggressive like B push when they were on the eco round. So right now you're seeing a lot of that, like paranoia of like, okay, what if Kitty Tactics does this? So they're like, while focusing on one side, they're not trying to like distract like or like fake any other side. So I feel like they should be like focusing more on that, focus like generating more noise instead of just having, okay, like paying attention to those places is important, but I'd like to see them, kind of distract Kitty Tactics with more noise and more like mobility in general. But what do you think?
No, for sure. I completely agree with you, and I think that's why Kitty Tactics and their changes have been so fruitful, right? Like the patience plays, waiting for YDZ Black to kind of be pressured by the timer where they're now on the attack, they have to make those moves, right? Versus last half when they were just working around the map, going off of wherever kind of Neon was or where the Gecko utility was, and then they could make those kind of I guess batten down the hatch decisions when the exit was finally coming. Versus here, you're gonna run out of time at some point. But speaking of time, we are on another little short tech pause here. It should be coming to a shorter closeout as well, a different player. But again, I feel like this has been number one, a lot closer than I thought it would be. So kudos to YDZ Black. Again, showing how sticking together shows growth. Again, and competitive consistency as well by playing these Radiant Academies. But interestingly enough, Kitty Tactics still not changing anything. Maybe recognizing that this is going to be an eco round as well because they did shatter that economy. But Zoe here, they've been a devil with the Marshall. Can they do it again?
Raven suspects something here, just backing off, and you can see immediately Kitty Tactics just, running laps around A and just being really aggressive with the pushes. But YDZ Black, they're not going for A this time. It's all C, and it will be up to Raven to take the lead.
Ooh, and like I said, you don't got a Sentinel to anchor the C site, only the Vipers. They're going to respect the site take off the Nightfall because they have this pinch play set up. They know they had the better weapons, so 3 players through the revolving door. Your Rays cannot hold it down. You cannot plant for mound. You cannot even now get off of sight. You gotta find somewhere to fight together. And unfortunately, the players are now being splintered. Zoe, backside, 1 water. All you got is a Marshall, and you are surrounded and dealt with. Kitty Tactics flawlessly close that out there. Play very, very well around, again, an exec-heavy plan that YDZ Black had off of the Nightfall. And that is how you tie things up.
I feel like, how we talked about Mint's, Kitty Tactics just playing off of Mint's aggressiveness, but that's like, to that equation also joins Caroso and Chris, and you have this like Sentinel controller duelist combo where it's like you're getting showered down by utility, and I feel like YDZ Black was just expecting them, to play the post-plan situation fairly, like eventlessly until Kitty Tactics made it to side. But I feel like they weren't expecting that flank play at all, or like for them to be so like aware that they weren't A, they weren't B. that early on. So it just gave Key Tactics the the confidence to just push forward and go for that flank play, which I feel like they're discussing right now with their coach. But what do you think?
I think it was definitely an interesting development because I saw the singular cipher be main, or sorry, the singular chamber be main, right? They had that rendezvous on the B site. I'm like, oh, they're gonna go for the revolving door play alone, right? When they're exiting off this nightfall, try and get behind it when no one's looking, and then rendezvous out after they've gotten that singular frag. But then, and maybe even from comms the Viper, comms from the chamber, they realized how fast C was getting stormed and said, let's just wait it out. We have better weapons. They're not going to be able to pivot as effectively as we did when they did that play on their defensive half. So we're just going to go for it. And they did. They win. And now 9-9. That timeout had to be taken, right? They're starting to run out of opportunities here because Kitty Tactics, you win this round. Again, very similarly, you're looking probably at an 11. And now you'll also be out of ultimates. So Kurosu, again, that's 1 down, 2 to go. Showstopper, gone. Now, can they depend on the Rolling Thunder?
Yeah, out of ultimates and out of your duelist. Now, that's exec heavy start they wanted to establish here just failed because you don't have your raise anymore, you don't have your showstopper anymore, we don't have that explosive force to play off of. You still have your breach, of course, that is across B currently, so any new movement could be made in B, but this crossfire is really dangerous to fall into, so I'm hoping they're aware of that. But yeah, it seems like currently they're on the rot scene.
Yeah, and I think here on Seaside, they've recognized that this is kind of a weakness in the defense, right? And I love this utility because it really almost prevented Raven from getting off site, which was kind of the plan that Kitty Tactics has been playing around here. And this is interesting, taking it one step further, Rolling Thunder to fight here into CT, maybe recognizing all the time they gave for these rotations.
Oh, expecting this aggression though, Kitty Tactics played that out beautifully, getting kill after kill, and this over aggressiveness just pays off in the end, and it just overwhelms White Easy Black.
Yeah, and like I said, sometimes it really does just come down to gunplay. Because if I was the coach that took that time out, that is a perfect counterplay, I think, right? What was the problem on their eco round? They got C pretty much for free, right? The Nightfall forced the Viper off site, but if they use similar utility, they can place Raven in that uncomfortable position. Raven leaves, you get Cypher for control, but then you have it immediately flood back in from Kitty Tactics, which shows that they were really quick to set up on a retake, really quick to rotate as well. Yeah. So now you got to stop that somehow. And they said, okay, well, they're probably not going to go for a flank play again, so let's invest the Rolling Thunder and get up in their faces. And unfortunately, that Rolling Thunder was committed in CT instead of Waterfall, and that's where a player like Kurosu, who I said I wanted to see step up this half, did just that.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it just wasn't expected for Kitty Tactics to have so much utility to be like, okay, you know what, okay, this is just a utility, so they weren't overwhelmed by it, they wouldn't let that phase them. So I really like how they kept their composure and played that out really nicely. And yeah, you can see now we're seeing still their Viper just posted up on C. They're not quite changing their defense, but they have played off A aggressively and gather some space. But now that Noise is here and Zoe with the showstopper just trying to find off kills, but is not going to be aiming where it counts.
Again, Kitty Tactics just give them the space. They realized that, okay, we were losing Mint really early on from these confrontations. Let's just not take them. Play the retake because it's been working. They've been able to clear out all of main, so they know where these players are. And again, it just leaves so much question marks for White Easy Black that they get nervous, they get anxious. They try and make hero plays like this, pushing top site. We saw how that went last time. Rover was forced to clutch and they fell short. So now these players are literally getting choked out like a serpent, surrounding this retake, surrounding this site. And I said I wanted a better Gecko utility. Well, here it is. Mosh protecting the wingman. It's gotten into half and the wingman still has not been shot down. Little Bro gonna lead them into a flawless here. Kitty Tactics have mastered the art of the retake here. Round after round, Jaren.
Yeah, it's so amazing how they use their utility. Chris went in with that blind, for example, but they still use Orange's blind as well, so they're not taking their chances. And to do, just like you said, actually, how the way they use Orange's utility to get into side and do this retake really beautifully. It's just amazing to see, and they're 2 rounds away from map victory here.
And I think that's now kind of This is the last opportunity then for YDZ Black, right? They're fully investing. Might see a hero rifle and obviously a needed force next round, because then it's, you know, round victory or a map loss. But the issue now is that Kitty Tactics are an upswing with their ultimates as well here. So they know this is a pivotal round, and I don't think they're going to be afraid to invest these ultimates, right? We even saw, I think it was that Thrash from Oranges, invested on Thrifty that they were pretty guaranteed to already win. So here we go. A little bit of shenanigans here. I do think the B side has been a little bit more victorious for YDZ Black, but also we haven't seen Kitty Tactics and their adjustment in practice yet. They've had this plan cooked up for this A to B side pivot round after round. Let's see if it is exactly what they need.
Oh, they're gonna grow curious here. Utility and Utility just facing off, but Mint is just ready for this with Zoe is that as well, just going in and getting these kills. Oh, it unfolds so fastly. Ellie is now all of a sudden left alone. The spike is out of reach. And only 30 seconds left to play around. Oh my god, they're gonna be regrouping Kitty Tactics. Do you even expect this?
I don't think Ellie would expect it, but I'm so glad that Kitty Tactics is. Again, we talked about it. They're being thorough. They're not trying to take any chances here. And they also understand that Ellie has this from the shadows, right? So they can go anywhere on the map they want to, even if there's been a spike tap on the B site. Here we go to the C site. Plenty of time. They're going to save it, so I'm wondering if they're going to use it after the plant. Again, throw chaos into the wind. Not let them know where they're headed, but the speed here for Raven. Yeoman joining them too at the last second. That door wasn't closed just yet, and just like that, Chris with that frag will get Kitty Tactics to map point.
Yeah, and this was YDZ Black's map pick as well, which is, you know, just like hit on the morale at this point, losing round after round. I feel like they were, both of these teams seemed pretty even coming from the first half of the game, but now it's just a completely different story. Kitty Tactics just dominating and like playing this defense up just beautifully.
All right, 6 rounds in a row for Kitty Tactics here. And now they have Overdrive, the Thrash, the Tour de Force already utilized as well. And my only concern here is, again, Kitty Tactics, they just need to hold on. Keep doing what they're doing. Don't get antsy and confident based on the scoreline, based on the ultimates. Because when I look at these like ults together, I'm like, oh yeah, you just thrash and let your Neon reap the rewards, right? But again, YDZ Black is weirdly good at preparing and countering for that in their own spawn or kind of in these mains. So I'm glad to see what Kitty Tactics has fallen back into. Kind of a more, I'm going to call it less puggy structure, right? They're looking like a cohesive squad here. And we are getting a little bit of another tech pause, but they are back like almost immediately this time, you know? It's a new patch. Issues are bound to happen in the Riot servers, our little indie developer, but this round, like I said, look at the buy here, Jaren. What can YDZ Black do?
I mean, they're just investing everything here with their utility as well, I'm imagining. But they only have Ellie's ultimate online, and they're at least, you know, 2 like ult points away from like Elisa's ult as well. So there's just not so much they can do to like play around. So what goes in is just being aggressive, I feel, and not letting Kitty Tactics, you know, read their strategy as well. And you can see right now from their position, I feel like we could be expecting Kitty Tactics to play A aggressively again and just taking that space. So YDZ Black should be like ready for it and should be ready for Kitty Tactics to perhaps just wanting to close this one out hard and fast. But what's your opinion?
Ooh, like I know the players on Kitty Tactics, I know they have the mechanics behind that kind of play. But again, it's a gamble that they don't need to take, right? Heating that battle head on over towards the A site. Unfortunately, it feels like YDZ Black's not going to give them that duel either, right? They don't want to take that gamble either, right? Like you said, this is the difference between winning and losing their map pick. So what are they going to do? They're going to go to a site they know the most about. And that's the play I thought I was going to see from Kurosu a few rounds ago, and they finally spring it loose. Like I said, a beautiful rendezvous this time. Instead of, you know, a weapon, they use the Tour de Force to get it done. Just like that, that's their duelist gone.
That headshot was so beautifully, but it just puts YDZ Black in such a peculiar position without their duelist in what could be the start of the end. It's just not really favorable at all, and you know, Tour de Force still online. what did they do? They just trying to like gather some space right now and explore some other opportunities because Key Tactics know like to watch out for C right now. Let's look at the map. 3 players stacked up here. It's just not favorable at all. Just would rather go for this B hits, just gathering noise here. Just
Ooh.
trying to figure out where they want to go.
And we talked about this kind of a while ago that Alyssa was really good at pulling players away from the desired destination, right? We saw it when they walked onto C for the first time when all the players were outside of A. This time though, nobody is falling for it here, right? They didn't see nobody walk out on because there was 2 players blue room, and those 2 players are still here. Couple in mint, right? High gear in it over to the A site, and you even have a thrash when there's 15 seconds left. This could end without even a plant.
No way. It's just being overwhelming right now. Kitty Tactics Cross is just trying to go for the plants, but it just does not work. 3 seconds left on the clock. It is over. Cross cannot manage with that, but Kitty Tactics now has White Easy Black's map pick.
Wow, and I think that was a really, really nice send-off for Lotus, right, from the map pool. Now, we might see it more obviously this event as well, because it is a very comfortable map for, I feel like, a lot of these teams. But just, again, seeing both teams adapt to each other time and time again. And Kitty Tactics, even though they are a pug squad, again, learning to have that respect for their opponent, not just fighting them head-on time after time. Mint as well, huge hats off to them, right? Being able to be like, as a duelist, I don't need to run it down, especially as a Neon, right? Being able to kind of take a step back, play off of crossfires, play off the retake, because they're so good at it here. And that's kind of where I'm a little bit fearful for our next 2 maps, because I feel like retakes are really, really important on Abyss and Icebox as well.
Yeah, and Abyss being a new map, there's just so much to explore, and I'm especially interested to see like what both of these teams come up with their Sentinel picks. You know, just the side control is like really important. You know, once people just like flanking you from CT, so that's something I will be looking out for. But yeah, any closing thoughts further on Abyss? Sorry, Lotus.
For me, I really feel like Lotus had to be a must-win for Wide Easy Black. Like, yes, they have the rep in on Abyss, but it's now ×2 and a very confident pick, it feels like, for Kitty Tactics. Because, like, what we just saw in Lotus, right, was on-the-fly adaptation. Versus now they have a playbook to go off of for Abyss that they've played it a few times. And that makes me think that we might have a really quick 2-0 closeout, but it's Abyss. Anything can happen. So, like you mentioned though, Jan, we are going to take a quick break before class comes back for our next lesson of the day, so stick around. welcome back to Radiant Academy 105. I am one of your two teachers, Obi, joined by the amazing Jared, and we had a very, very close map 1, where I felt like only 2 rounds kind of dictated the major outcomes of that Lotus. But now, Jaren, it's kind of set up YDZ Black for a needed comeback here on map 2. If you take a look back at that graphic of Abyss.
Yeah, I feel like, these teams are pretty even just to like start everything off. But then, you see kind of Kitty Tactics adapting to YDZ Black's, offensive strategies, and it just led them to victory in the end, which is like, I really expect to see like a more like back and forth, like maybe perhaps like an overtime situation happening. But Kitty Tactics did not let that happen. Their defense was really up to par with like just what Lotus needs. And yeah, they secured YDZ Black's map pick in the end, and following by now Abyss, which is their map pick. But do you think a revenge play could be coming into play here, Zoe?
I definitely think it's possible. Like I said, there was that rep on Abyss here for YDZ Black, but it was also a loss against Hyperspeed Red in that 3rd round of the group stage, so it could still be a soft spot, right? It was a 9-13 loss. I did say Hyperspeed Red I thought was going to be a team to kind of trifle with here in Radiant Academy 105, but the only other thing that I am noticing is that we might see a little bit of a composition difference, and I do like the composition we're expecting to see from YDZ Black. They run a Jet, Sova, Harbor, Cypher, Omen. And I don't know about you, but Harbors on Abyss are so difficult to play around.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen like that many Abyss like picks to be like, okay, I want to see this agent, but I really want to see like, because new map, fairly new map at least, and new agents, new like compositions. I feel like Deadlock could be in use actually to be like a really mobile sentinel to use here.
Okay.
But yeah, what do you expect to see aside from like the data we have on these teams? Would you like to see some like unconventional agents picks as well, or what are you expecting to see in general in Abyss?
Well, you said, I guess, unconventional or like not necessarily conventional. You said like not off the data picks, but
yeah,
I think those actually kind of go hand in hand for Kitty Tactics, where they are bringing out kind of an unconventional pick. But it's also something they have played, right? Because they played Abyss twice. They might actually be bringing out the ISO Jet combination, all right? I feel like that's kind of the ISO pick's getting like very commonly accepted on, say, like Haven, for example. But I feel like Yoru has been kind of the secondary duelist go-to on Abyss. So I'm really excited to see Kitty Tactics run it. They're interestingly running it for Kurosu, who we just saw in the chamber, so we know they have the mechanical chops to back it up. But the only other thing that I want to point out here, and we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, was Astra just got buffed to 5 stars, and they run the Astra versus we talked about the double controller that YDZ Black is running. So what do you think is the difference between all the controllers that we might see of the Omen, of the Harbor, of the Astra?
I feel like an Astra pick would be really nice, and not a lot of teams play Astra so often, so I feel like if any of these teams happen to choose an Astra, it could be going hand in hand with the what they want to like. I can't really organize my thoughts right now, but I really want to see, some unconventional and like new play style, something to throw us off our feet. And I feel like Astra is just the right agent to do that.
Yeah, I think like NA is interesting as well for game changers, because I feel like they've been a little bit faster on picking up her back into their pool. Like, it really is really nice for especially like supplementing like what we'll see probably as the B site hole. But let's see if we're correct first, right? We got to go jump in to the agent select here, and it looks like we are so far so good for what I said was going to come, except for YDZ Black actually switching things up here. They, like I said, played Abyss once, maybe didn't like the composition that they went with of that Harbor Omen, because then it does kind of not leave them as much, I feel like, initiation utility. So they're actually switching away to a Sova Breach.
Yeah, and the Astra play against Ellie and Chris would be so interesting to see here. Like, just as we were talking about, the Abyss and, Astra being like a interesting agent pick as a controller, it just comes up, which is like really nice to see. And you can see also Kurosu, as you said, on the ISO, plus with the jets of Min. So yeah, I'm just like really excited to see this map and just start off from the attacker side as well. You have a lot of say in like where you want to go and like where you want to create the chaos. So I feel like we will have a pretty interesting map coming up here.
For sure. And we saw Rovers really, really confident on the breach, but I feel like it's not as common of a pick here on Abyss. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go. Again, like we said, YDZ Black's been together for a little while, but this is a map you don't really, I guess, it's newer to the pool, so they're still figuring things out. Like I said, like they switched from what I would say is a pretty different fundamental composition, right? Like I said, it was a Jet, Sova, Harbor, Cypher, Omen, and now we're bringing out the Breach, we're bringing out the Astra instead. And I'm wondering if Rober and the team just maybe wasn't as confident without flashes. Like that is the big difference that I see here, right? And so I do like the swap out because a double controller I think gives you a lot of stability, and I think an Astra also just brings stability as that kind of pseudo sentinel role as well. So I think that one for kind of two substitutions going to work out versus still adding that aggressive flare back in that maybe Zoe needs that kind of support to set them up for success.
Yeah, definitely. So playing in with the flashes right now is going to be really interesting. And yeah, as you were starting on the defense half, we just want like as much mobility and agency over like where the play goes as much as possible. So I feel like they will be making good use of that. And we're starting now with a 3-2 split for YDC and the majority of the players being at B. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
It's definitely interesting, right? The gamble to B, especially when on pistol, it feels like A is more known here. But this is what we wanted to see, the coordination between this double duelist. Nice utility from the Astra to try and splinter these players, and it has done just that. But when Kurosu has a shield, they can take on even the darnest deagles. And just like that, Kurosu is steamrolling these players one after another. Rover cuts the losses, waits for the extra recruits to arrive, and then they're going to re-hit here. But they've lost some HP from their Heaven player. Nice flash, but even that's not enough. Kurosu almost on for an ace! Let them have it!
The ghost ace you've been talking about, is it coming?
They're trying to give it to them. Yeah!
Yeah, starting off good right now. Key Tactics are still feeling the heat from Lotus and win the first round to start off Abyss.
I think Kurosu is one of those players that I am just... I understand like life circumstances obviously play a huge factor in like long stand competition, right? But I feel like more recently, like I said, they've been this stellar stub. They kind of like are in this pseudo retirement era where they just come into pug or substitute in, and they are a player that I think like I could see going to some of the highest tiers of competition. So I always love getting to see them play in a roster for an entire event, and that's what we've been blessed with here for Radiant Academy from Kitty Tactics here for good reason. An ace to open things up, the heroic, the confident Vandal by. But speaking of confident here, two players down mid. I already said this duo was gonna be the crux, but you can't team flash or chat.
Oh yeah, this aggressive play will it be predicted by the tactics is the question, and Kuros is ready for this Vandal. Actually, Zoe is expecting even second player, and there will be going for the splash play here, but oh, why is he black? Just only all of a sudden just stuck with two players.
Ooh.
And the K Tactics are managing the tension like so good so far.
Yeah, I really liked the aftershock, but the sprays, the timing do not align. They just still hold down this major re-entry point. So Kitty Tactics again off the entry with that hero rifle from Kurosu. Take the duel. But I like Kurosu again. Like, they keep a calm head. Like, yes, you're 6-0, but they didn't carry that hero rifle right into defender spawn, right? They didn't take duels that they didn't have to, right? But aside from that here, does mean a really heavy buy. Look at this! I talked about, like, confidence. Like, they've already dented the economy here for YDZ Black, right? A Light Shield, Guardian. There is a world in my mind where I could see a third round conversion.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about it, we're having like both a B and an A play actually. Just Orange is trying to distract the attention from A to B, and now it's just a matter of, you know, like, are you expecting this? Alyssa with a Guardian in hand manages this tension. Oh, but Oasis ult, of course, just stepping in, and Alyssa is able to get the kill actually, but will not survive the ult.
All right, and again,
Oh.
Chaos, finally a rotation is made, but they're still going to possibly get the plant down here. Still wary of an immediate flood. They're also waiting on Raven, and this insane timing. No weapon collected, though, means a guaranteed trade. Orange is trying to isolate players before they get stunned out, but the job is done. They are surrounding you from all angles, and YDZ Black, while they lose a few players in the process, are still going to get the defuse. Still are going to get their first round on the board.
That looked quite scary, actually. I mean, the drone play they did, and through the tunnel, I thought they were going to be overwhelmed once again, but they managed to handle that pressure so well and, you know, gain their first round in the end, which is good to build up your academy once again against KD Tactics, which is, I feel like we saw this happen at the start of Lotus as well. If I'm not mistaken, just KD Tactics getting 2 rounds and YDZ Black, you know, just responding to that, and then we're even again. So, yeah, I'm really wondering if we'll have the same situation once again.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting for sure. I think the difference here, I mean, actually, I should say more parallels, is that again, they took so many weapons off of them. There's a really good chance for a conversion here. And we'll see if it gets thrown in. A great hunt down here. You're about to take out their primary duelist, updrafting away for their life, and they will survive. But look at all the space that's been gained as a trophy in its stead, right? Haven't found players, but you deposited this Jet into a really nasty corner. No punish off the flash either because of this backside space, these backside baits, and as a result, they almost get the spray. The gravel just late here. Not gonna cost them everything.
Chris is still in backside here, but Kroos is getting the kills. He's being traded out one by one. He attacks anyone, YDZ Black Bulls. 3 players left. Smoke at the edge of the spike, and Ellie gets the kill onto Caruso. Raven's still alive, but oh, it's gonna be hard with Orange is up in heaven and not realized. An amazing play by KD Tactics, just playing off of Orange's flank situation. I feel like we didn't really like say it in the middle of the moment, but last I saw Oranges, they were behind. I mean, like checking for a flank. So I think they walked up mid and ended up flanking the YDZ Black when they were not expecting it.
No, that is huge, right? Like, I look at the KD Tactics composition, right, and I don't see a lot of post-plant potential, right? Like, maybe shock darts in the gravel, but that's if your Astra's alive, right? And we've seen, that Chris likes to play forward, and I think Chris did fall pretty early on as well. So they need a different win con. So what does Oranges do? They identify it and they capitalize on it. But speaking of capitalizing, again, a pretty I was gonna say flawless exec, but when you're in a smoke with a shorty and you can get Kurosu off a secret, suddenly you have completely, and for the first time, really prevented a B exec where they didn't lose a single player.
Yeah, losing your Bulls duelist at the start, it's a flip up the tables for KD Tactics. Just losing all of their aggressive potential now, waiting for YDZ Black to instead commit with the aggression here. It's currently not. It doesn't seem to be in the plans of YDZ Black. They're just still waiting for KD Tactics to make the first step here, the first mistake.
And so here we go. I like the re-hit attempt here. They were hoping that players rotated off, but when they don't have weapons, they're gonna just play for what they know, not what they don't know, and for good
oh my god,
reason.
this cam
goes down. They still have not dislodged any players here, though.
Is the camp still up by Raven, I'm wondering? But it gains so much information to just go off of side. Okay, she is realized right now, but still alive, the tail, and Raven gets 1 kill, but it's just overwhelmed in the end. A thrifty round for YDZ Black.
Wow, yeah, no, I that was just really, really quick rotation there. YDZ Black again. Not over-rotating back to A when they thought they heard the KD Tactics players running away as well. They just kind of held their own. And I don't know, I'm now curious, like, we had that Astra smoke right before Secret, right? I'm guessing that was the Defender's one, and if so, that was just so creative for both of the players to hide and it pop out like a surprise that no one was expecting. And again, stopping these duelists now probably becomes their main priority, right? Especially when there's 2 of them here. So I'm wondering, yeah, look at this. Now that their direct side execs are no longer working for KD Tactics, they're working the entirety of the map, going to some of these defaulted plays.
I mean, it worked for 3 rounds, so I don't blame them. But yeah, they have to step up right now. Okay, Mint?
Misclick. There, even the internal regret is there. And now that's probably the thrifty opportunity denied in my mind. That was probably their calling card.
That was just painful to see. And since you don't have the knives anymore, why not go A this time? Okay, it's just a pixel spot out of place. Kurosu tries to get the kill onto Zoe. Not so much damage done, I think, but still.
Well, might be able to walk out of this A site. The trap wire is dealt with very quickly by a singular shock dart. Backside already cleared out as well by his recon, but I like the scale up, but here we go. Spike plant attempted to be denied. It'll still go through at the risk of sacrifice of Orange's life, but now they've pushed deeper into CT here. Cross Unity almost got the timing the better of them here, but circumvented it. It's just business like usual when you had the better weaponry. Cosmic Divide forcing the issue there. It is Kurosu. Shield isn't going to save you from Zoe and an Outlaw.
Yeah, as I said previously, I feel like the same thing is happening where both of these teams are figuring out the other strategies just at the beginning, and now it gets interesting, I think, because pretty much they can buy full shields, vandals, and right now is when it matters. 3-3, it could go anywhere from here. So I'm really excited to see if they will be able to keep up with the pressure. Now Alyssa is once again in A side, but she's not alone. They have Zoe with her here, and hopefully they'll be able to manage the pressure. Here, taking these up for Kitty, and Zoe gets the kill.
Oh. I'm glad to see that. I really thought we were about to see a swing come out, but they drone Zoe away. But Zoe's right back, right? Even if you miss with that Outlaw, you're going to have the Blade Storm if need be, and you might just need it. Cross Unity has fallen. Now you have to play a full-on retake, but you do have the Rolling Thunder. Kurosu hurt as well. Ropes the quick adjustment. A flick and a half with the Rolling Thunder. They also invest the Blades, and is that even enough? 2v2? Your Asher's off site. I talk about the grab well as a post-plane opportunity. Now you got the Cosmic Divide as well?
Oh, well, this could be massive. They're not blocking off these players, but still. Oh, this double angle could be tricky. Oh, now Raven's position is accounted, and the swing out. Chris, okay, also commits. There's C.
Not halved.
Oh no, Chris, just to swing out, knows that she's off the spike, so she has to commit by swinging out now. Ellie, we're able to gets the kill, but
no
the spike
time.
is not halved. There's just no time, and Kitty Tactics win the round in the end.
Now, I'm a little surprised that we didn't see Ellie trying to wallbang that corner, because they seemed near certain that that's where they were tucked away. And it might have been enough to get back to the spike, but just again, talking about it, like your only post-plant strategy is that Astra utility, so when it hits hard for Kitty Tactics. So again, maybe I liked, again, the opening frag there, but I wanted some follow-up from YDZ Black again. Like, you can't just hinge on them still being able to solo anchor that site, especially because the whole, I guess, functionality of a jet is to get in and get out with that tailwind after they find a frag. So that's exactly what Zoe was able to do, and we needed somebody to replace them there, and nobody was there. So Kitty Tactics roll in. And speaking of rolling in, when you grab, like I said, one of these contingent players off the site, it should be a lot easier.
Yeah, now getting the kill in their ult. Now they have a pretty good foundation to enter the A site, and after this utility is dealt with, Spike should go down in the hands of the Tactics.
A lot of Sylvie utility.
Yeah, a lot is being done by YDZ Black to deny it, and Ellie is wanting to go in for the swing here, really daring. Maybe investing a lot of stars for this push, but the Tactics had the better end of that fight. Kurosu with the 3 Ps.
Over there.
They're looking so solid so far. I thought Kurosu was going to jump off for a second.
No, I think they were just seeing if someone fell off or contemplating the jump off. It is very, I feel like, ceremonial after a round victory, but this, I think, is a great time for a timeout because it feels like Kitty Tactics is learning, okay, YDZ Black, right? They're no longer letting us try and just heavily contest these sites. They're looking for first bloods, and now Kitty Tactics is learning how to punish it, right? Whether it's just using utility to flush it out like we saw from the Owl Drone, whether it's also maybe just an Ice Ult, but won't have that every day. But I also like how proactive Kitty Tactics is now. Like, again, they're taking space as soon as they get the plant down. Like we saw them flipping the site, taking backside control, even like pressuring partially players into CT. Kind of like what they were doing. I'm not saying necessarily the pistol is representative, but with the the ISO about to be on for an ace, they take link control here. So I'm curious to see what YDZ Black is going to change from their defensive approach.
Yeah, I feel like they should be focusing more on mid, and instead of just expecting pressure there and then reacting to it, maybe just going in for the flank pushes. They had tried it in the first, I believe, second round of this half, to just like flank kitty tactics on B side. It didn't work, so they didn't try it again. But like, I think it would be like an interesting opportunity to explore and to just play like how kitty tactic isn't expecting.
Yeah, that is true. I think they only tried to flank once, and then they shelved that for another day. Well, maybe that day is today here. 3 players towards A. Mid still really not a focal point here. The Cypher more just passively keeping it at bay here. But now that they haven't gotten any pressure A main, right? No utility, no ISO shield being popped, no drone. They're beginning that slow migration over to the B site here. And with the speed kitty tactics is proceeding at, but I wouldn't necessarily commit to this B site because you have given them a lot of time, I think. So they're still trying to sell this fake. They're like, okay, run up, get the orb, run away. Maybe they'll believe us that we're not here.
Maybe. I mean, Chris is still A, and just try to get a peek see if somebody has woke up, but no. And the silence is about to be broken by all of this utility, and kitty tactics is just attempting to tap a spike. It is committed, but oh, Mints. Oh, that was shaky, but Raven gets the kill in the end into Ellie, and the 2-piece is committed now.
Here's the smoke too. I like the double swing back sight clearing out Mint here, but it is a 2v4. And Kurosu now, utility to support here, even before the spike tap goes in. They're trying to combo with some shock darts, and while both players are alive, it doesn't feel like it's going to be much longer. Both of them one shot from the Hunter's Fury, and Orange is going to be robbed away both of those kills as Raven gets their 3 kills on the board. And again, that timeout momentum shift is denied. Kitty tactics now on really the safeguard here. And I don't think we're going to see another 6-6 half here, Jaren.
Yeah, I do not think so as well, because the last map you saw, I feel like there was more to account for, like when you were in the defense side for like kitty tactics, for example. Like the YDZ Black was just coming up with these unconventional plays, but I don't really see that often now. Zoe will be trying to get a kill with the Marshall here. Okay, is able to commit to 1 and just walking up and gets a 2 and gets out. Actually, this is what we want to see from YDZ Black.
And I'm calling back to that comment over on Lotus where I was like, I want to see Zoe snipe more often. And they are trying to do that, but the last place you want to be caught sniping is in the gulag. The death contract is good. No punishment as well, even though the bodies were separated here. So a 2v2. Alyssa maybe expecting a follow through on mid because that's where the brunk of the duels took place. But an early indicator over towards A. Both trips destroyed. I like this here, challenging into heaven. A little bold though, as well.
Yeah, definitely. But there's no utility to contest so far from Alyssa, just waiting to regroup with Ellie. Meanwhile, Kurosu is just like slowly walking up. What is chaos?
No!
Ellie! No way! The 3-piece is just amazing. The way the shots lined up there. I couldn't keep up with it.
Like I said, it was bold. I was like, maybe I can see, right, the ISO making that gamble, right? A 1-for-2 trade is going to be good. And then all of a sudden, a split second later, you blink and Chris is at their side. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nah, because that's all or nothing. And now they've come up with YDZ Black an opportunity to make me a liar when I said I don't see a 6-6 in the future, right? Like, again, I talk about Chris and this Astra, and like, you are the insurance policy. So why are you putting that extra risk forward, playing forward? I mean, yes, I see the argument for trying to play for the trades, play for your team, but then you get some of those days where you just line up and get drilled through. So 4-6, we need a few more drills from YDZ Black to completely break through.
Okay,
a beautiful fake.
Yeah. And we're seeing something new from Cross as well. Just going forward and expecting this aggression and being like willing to go against all of the utility that was, shown by Kitty Tactics just at the start. But yeah, it's gonna be a fake, just going for the eventless in A, and meanwhile on B, just shots are fired and Min takes the first kill of the round.
And again, I think that deep A main position is what kind of convinced them that it wasn't a fake. And so that's why there were players on the B site, but when Ellie's dying like that from a beautiful recon, and again, you get this proactivity towards heaven, it places Rover in an uncomfortable position where you still even have this flank developing from Raven, which stopped even the chances of a retake here. So Kitty Tactics 7-4 now with a flawless round, and it's kind of what we saw start to be the momentum shift change on Lotus, was these consecutive flawlesses. We'll see if Kitty Tactics can get another one to close out the half.
Yeah, I mean, they have the means to do it for sure, and the knives and the Astral Ride also online. I'm seeing a chance as well for like a 4-8 close here. I mean, it is probably best if YDZ Black ends this on a 5-7, but I'm not exactly sure if that's gonna happen quite just yet.
Ooh. A flip the map attempt here. 3 players already going for the flank. And look, they're trying not to repeat mass mistakes. They're like, Raven, where are you? We're going to find it. We're going to take you out so you're not flanking us on the flank. Fortunately, not going to happen. I like the breach repositioning your heaven, right? You probably heard them go ropes. You heard them take that space. So you want to get in the best position for this Rolling Thunder. But the best position you don't realize was right in front of you. They don't get stunned out. They're holding onto the site control from afar. And now they've bought enough time that none of these players are concussed. So now your flank is late 2v4. The players are all back site. This Cosmic Divide really doesn't do much, but it doesn't matter because the round is over. 1v3. Cross Unity, yes, you've gotten the weapon upgrade, but there's so much to do.
1v3, step outside of the smoke. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
Key Tactics, I mean, secure the 4-8 score, and yeah, this is a jumping up that I wanted to see from Raven.
Like I said, ceremonial. When you get an 8-4 half here to possibly close out your map 2 to advance to the quarterfinals. That's definitely a reason to celebrate. But now, another pistol in the works. Kurosu, we saw the Ghost Ace. They're trying to upgrade now to a Deagle Ace here, perhaps. But Raven is fighting for that first seed position right now. 1 kill trailing, right? It's like a matter of entry impact and late round impact at this point between the 2 players. And it creates this perfect picture here. But look at this. Are you actually going to run it down mid on pistol? This is creative.
They're going to do it. They're going to do it. I believe them. And yeah, it's just what I wanted to see. It's just some mid-aggression in these plays. I believe that's Cam spotted out some players, so that could be changing the minds of Key Tactics, but noise is being made in A side so far, and all these shock darts to clear out the Cypher utility works, but not all the way. On Alisa, we having the first fight against Mint, and Mint actually commits to that and gets the first kill. And we're seeing all of these players just following up with it, and it's pandemonium.
Yeah, Raven's like, all right, Carissa, you had your attack as the duelist, but now it's my half, the defense. The 3-piece there to keep Kitty Tactics on track here. And again, I really liked the spy cam #1. I'm gonna have to ask Alyssa to teach me that one, because it, like you said, spoiled their mid strategy there for that pistol. But the recoil, the reposition from Kitty Tactics was so clean, even with that immediate flood into the A site from YDZ Black when they realized there was a potential flank mounting. And also, I feel like we haven't really seen it because again, the Cypher's been at the prowess of these lurks. The Astral Lurk ability is so high when you have a global utility player like that.
Oh man, okay, gets 1 kill and the smoke to back off. I mean, the Outlaw just proving its worth here in the hands of Min. Just possibly going for another peek. There's so many players here, but they do not want to face off against her at all. You can see this pivot to mid instead.
Alright. Well, they didn't want to fight mid pistol, but they are going to right now, and that feels like a mistake. Kurosu's loaded up the aim labs routine and is firing away, going for a high score with the Guardian. They don't clear the corner. We've seen this be lethal before, but this time at least they're going to be able to find a few with a GCD cross Unity is coming back stronger on their own. No!
Oh my god, that was just so close. The 4-piece across Unity. I mean, we're talking about the pistol round ace, perhaps with the sheriff, but it goes across. It almost goes across. Oh my god. I was just so believing it.
We need a moment of silence for Cross Unity.
Definitely.
And whoever they sniped out of the sky. I think that was Oranges, right?
That was
Jumping across. Oh
amazing.
my goodness. Like, that's a clip that's going to be on Twitter later for both Kurosu and Cross Unity. And the fact that it's like almost a final nail in the coffin here is devastating because Kitty Tactics, they get double digits. The buy isn't great though. But when you're on a map like Abyss, I love this sort of investment they went for. I don't know if you saw it, but I think it was 2 outlaws. So post those up on either side of the map here. Try and go for those first blood engagements for these aggressive peaks again. You might just come up with gold.
And you can see once again Kitty Tactics just positioning themselves on A main really aggressively, so they know that YDZ Black isn't here anymore, which, you know, gives them the opportunity to relocate and maybe go for a pinch play here.
Oh, don't think Cross Unity quite saw Raven here, so they might not realize they're walking into Cypher utility. But Zoe, when you go up and above, past it all, it's not going to be a care in the world. But again, there it is. Beautiful Cypher utility. Fortunately, it's evaded for now, and that means it's going to be a flawless site take. Plant's going to go down. The player is immediately funneling in. But this is the disjointment we talked about that got repaired over on Lotus. It feels like it's solo players right now swinging. Let's see if they can correct here. Seems like they're trying to, but it is just no dice until Mint. There it is, the Outlaw.
That's the other one we wanted to see, and following it up with the Sheriff by Mint is just flawless.
They know where Cross Unity is. No! You had so much time. They were denied the ace clutch with a deagle. They walk away with that round win. Like, just the juxtaposition is insane.
Yeah, the revenge. Just the ace stolen with the Sheriff. We're seeing it all happen, but now against Kitty Tactics. Yeah, that's a step back. Nothing to worry about though. But if they end up losing this round, there's a chance that YDZ Black could be stepping up and actually getting more rounds in.
Well, that was kind of a save buy, I think, for Kitty Tactics. I don't necessarily see Outlaws as save buys, but
oh no,
when you got Blades, I don't think it matters. Or when you got a Hunter's Fury, it might not matter. It's disrupting this A main pressure that they're trying to build, but the disrespect is thrown right back. Oranges trying to take more down in the name of Kurosu, but unfortunately still going to be a 4v4 as the dust settles. Just like that. What did you lose? You lost your Breach and lost one of your duelists. So it's going to put a lot more pressure on Zoe again, I think, without that Breach, like I said, to facilitate them, which might be why they're, again, going back to maybe some of those tendencies we saw over on Lotus of looking for an opening instead of making one.
Oh, yeah. And Chris is just so ready for this mid-pressure here. May not have realized Zoe just walking out with the spike just yet. But yeah, Kitty Tactics looking so good so far with the 4 players. Okay, and Raven was also expecting it. No shots taken though. Chris, oh my goodness, this flank positioning is just so close. YDZ Black, we're not gonna let this happen. Oh, and yeah, Raven just so ready for this, so ready for the positioning, but Cross Unity coming up, and almost getting those 4 kills. It's gonna be ready for this pressure, hopefully. Just have HP and so many crosshairs pointing at her, though. It just doesn't work out.
And I was like, there's no way Cross Unity does it again. And even you saw Chris, right? The hesitancy when jump peeking heaven. Because they know this is a player that can clutch out rounds like that. But 11-5, again, they're talking about Kitty Tactics starting to respect YDZ Black with each coming round. And even if it is 11-5, they are taking all of the stops here to try and close things out, right? Mints, I feel like, didn't really get their opportunity to shine with this operator, but probably going to get another opportunity here. Kurosu has their kill contract back online. They look like they're in a position to invest it off the rip here over towards A main. And they're not going to find anybody if they do, so glad to see they haven't. Probably the Blades and the drone here from B side a good indicator of that as well. Interesting little caterpillar smoke action here as well to try and get Zoe on side.
No, Zoe, Blades miss. A fatal mistake. Now no Blades to play around, but only a classic. Oh, it just doesn't work out for YDZ Black. They still get to plant And Kurosu gets the kill on Rover as well, so now they're left with 3 players. This retake is just imminent. Old drone going in. It's blocked out by so many smoke, but it's gonna be able to spot out the Astra, and it just all goes down. Cross Unity once again alone and just not able to do much against an off.
And Mint's just the eye in the sky while Kurosu is running circles right now around the YDZ Black Post plant, right? Like, it feels like they're doing just really, really well there. Like, the smokes are in place as well really perfectly for that exec from Chris. And then what was that drone as well to set Kurosu up to guide their hand into the frags on the retake? So it's showing how, even with this kind of unconventional composition, they're playing off of each other and their strengths really, really well. And I talked about how in Lotus and in this first half, these timeouts were really well placed for YDZ Black. But I'm not gonna lie, this one feels a little bit too late to salvage.
Definitely. I mean, you still have 7 rounds to catch up with Kitty Tactics, so just it doesn't seem viable anymore. I mean, this timeout is just a call for help, like to figure out what more can they do in this map. They have the neural theft online, so obviously if they get a kill, they can play off of that. But still, you have 3 ults to face against on the side of Kitty Tactics. That's just, they will want to close this out hard and fast. So yeah, it's just not really looking that bright for YDZ Black anymore. But what do you think? Do you think they can, have a comeback situation here, Zobi?
I think I need to see how far they are away from that Rolling Thunder. I feel like we saw it. I think the last time we saw it was from that mid position, right when they were trying to take the A site through Vens, but I didn't really find too much either. So
okay, 2 points away.
Okay. This is feasible then, I think. I just need to see them, I think, take their time, right? I feel like we haven't really seen much rotation from them. But it looks like Kitty Tactics might have other plans. It looks like they're doubling down on the A main clear, so they're going to know it's the B site. And I really like how defensively heavy the B site is as well, right? You have the Astra util, you have the Cypher util, so it buys so much time for these kind of flank plays, which we've seen from Oranges before, and also for the rotation of players like Kurosu.
Oh, the trap's still not broken, and at least I guess a kill onto Chris all of a sudden. Oh, this Cypher utility needs to be broken right now for YDZ Black to survive, and Cross Unity is able to get him the kill onto Kurosu finally. 4 players, they have the advantage, but not HP. Okay, the flank situation is also accounted for by Raven actually. What do you mean? Okay, Zoe now left alone in this fight and has 1 more player to deal with in the end. Oranges.
4 bullets.
Oh no. She's just gonna go for it. This off angle. Oh, just does not commit. The bullets just not enough. And Kitty Tactics win out Abyss and take the best of 3 by 2-0.
And that means they will be your team advancing here into the quarterfinals. And again, I said it, their Lotus to come back, that turnaround after, I really thought that 3 rounds on the attack half was insane from YDZ Black and was going to be a fast track to closing out their map pick, and we might have seen a map 3 here, but now Kitty Tactics showing that the reps that they got in the group stage were enough to kind of fill out this playbook for Abyss surrounding a atypical composition, but they made it look everything kind of cleanliness of a well-conceived machine. Like I said, I think that 1 round retake in particular where the operator was kind of posted up heaven, Kurosu was like just retaking B, clearing out all these angles off the Sova utility. It was just so picturesque for the capabilities and what this composition can bring, that it's going to be, I think, a fearful map, but maybe one teams are going to ban against Kitty Tactics going forward. But for now, it was their ticket to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, definitely. And I really loved how solid Kitty Tactics felt after the first half of Lotus. So, you couldn't really see major mistakes anymore on their end. And it was they knew how to communicate well with each other. Especially, I remember in the seaside when they were faced off with this breach ult, they just knew how to counter that. That was just just goes to show you how amazing they play with each other. And I'm really excited to see how they continue against this bracket here.
For sure, but unfortunately that is going to mean an earlier departure here for YDZ Black. Again, a single elimination bracket is a little bit brutal, and it's really sad because I think the last time like Radiant Academy 104 as well, they left in the round of 16 with an 0-2 loss to Odessa's retirement home. So they're getting these reps in, and I know how hard it can feel when you don't have improvement. But again, you need that consistency first to find improvement later on. So, you know, we have a few more of these events throughout the year, and I hope that they kind of continue with the squad because I still see like massive promise here, right? Like Cross Unity is insane. Alyssa's utility really good as well, and we're starting to see these pieces fall into place. And I think their calling is really really good at times as well. So I hope we get to see them more. But for now, like we said, that does mean Kitty Tactics will be moving on, while YDZ Black will bid adieu to class for now. We'll send them to the study hall, we'll call it. But that does mean that we have to wait probably a little while because that was a little quicker map, right? Before our next series. And you know what is perfect for break time, Jaren? I don't know if like I obviously like right. You're from Istanbul. Do you guys have school stores? Like in school, like where you can go for like stationery, like pencils and stuff?
Oh, not the school.
You don't? Oh yeah,
no.
That's like one of my favorite things was going to the school store. They had like scented pencils and stuff. Well,
that's
here
really cute.
at the Radiant Academy, we have our own school store that I think is a lot better than a typical one. They have really, really cool Radiant t-shirts. I think there might be some stickers. So if you would like to support Calling All Heroes, Radiant Academy, marginalized gender esports initiatives like this, you can go ahead to go and show your support by picking up some merch from the Radiant store. And again, feel good while doing it, right? All the profits go back into supporting events like these. So we thank you guys for your support, and during this next break, just go check it out, see if there's anything you like. But Jaren, that does mean we're gonna go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna have that quarterfinals match ready and raring to go. And welcome back to class. I hope your trip to the school store went well, but we have to get back to hitting the books and hitting our quarter finals here, Jaren. First, we should probably take a look at the bracket to just see maybe some of the teams that have made it now in the top 8 who are on our honor roll, Jaren.
Definitely. This is, yeah, just to see Kitty Tactics just advance was really good. And, up next, we will have Sure's Daycare facing against Little Pups here, which is really interesting to see. But, yeah, just, I love how this has been going so far. But what do you expect to see from the upcoming match of Little Pups against Sure's Daycare?
I think if I'm being honest, I feel like Cher's Daycare was already kind of an upset in their round of 16, right? A number 2 seed coming in, beating out almost my tournament. I wouldn't say tournament favorites, but a team I expected to go really far, which was Hyperspeed Red. But Lil Pups is kind of a very seasoned squad here, just under another name. I think a lot of the players have, for example, played on Oompies before. They're like maximizing main event players, and they have retired main event players. So in my eyes, it would have to be another upset kind of here to continue into the semifinals. But before we dive deeper into Little Pups versus Cher's Daycare, I wanted to shed some light on maybe some of the TBDs that are still getting filled out here, which is currently we have 2 matches still in the round of 16 going on. Blahaj Gang versus AI generated team name, sorry. That's funny.
Wow,
is currently going to a map 3, and our other matchup, which is Free Containment Center versus Goldfish, is still also going on. So one of those, or some of those teams, obviously will join here, and I think Thug Crash Outs is actually the first team to qualify as one of those TBD spots after beating just team name 2-0. So that's kind of funny. But regardless, like you said, Lil Pups versus Cher's Daycare, since we obviously just got to see Kitty Tactics. It is sad we don't get to see the cat showdown between Kitty Tactics and Meowtastic, but we'll let them duke it out in the litter box and see who gets to the semifinals off screen. But all right,
I was expecting. I should have expected. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I had to slip the jokes in there, the puns. But Little Pups versus Cher's Daycare. All right. So what do we know about these two teams that you other than that they're probably pug squads based on the names?
Honestly, I have not seen much of these teams before because usually I do EME stuff, but with NA, I know a couple of teams here that do seem familiar, but on that matter, that nothing really particular comes to my mind. Could you fill me and the audiences as well?
Yeah, of course. So I think when I look at this squad, I think I look at the core of it as a squad that has played together quite a bit, which is kind of the Avery, Rise, and Carrie squad, right? They kind of were there when they went through the evolution of kind of, I guess, what now is most recently known as Oompies, right? That's kind of where I think of these names from, kind of what was SNG, what was kind of the YFPX before kind of Solstice took their place. But aside from that, then we get these two other additions. Crisp, who's a really strong, I think, solo player that's kind of similar, I think, in my mind to Karusu, who doesn't play too much, doesn't have a consistent home. And then the name is so funny. Their 5th player, LeBron of Inked, #Miku. And I think if it is the Miku that I'm thinking of, I haven't seen them in a minute, but if I remember it, I think they have some weirdly cracked aim. So this is a squad that I think is probably a front runner to win this event, because if I remember right, I think Oompies were back-to-back 2 times winners, so that now that they're not competing, this is a squad that would kind of take up the mantle. But I said, Cher's Daycare beat out Hyperspeed Red 2-0. It was 11-13, 10-13. So they're already going through trial by fire, already staging upsets, already going against really tough teams. They lost, I think, Kitty Tactic in the group stage, for example. So they definitely are going to have some resilience to them.
Yeah, and really just see them like go against each other now. Since you said they, won out this cause you've been like, kind of really look forward to, which was Hyper Sweet Red. So there's kind of some expectancy here for them to, perform good. But yeah, I think, do we have the map picks ready?
We do. Drum roll, please, to see if it'll be as spicy as our last one was. Unfortunately, like I said, Abyss is not a dime a dozen. Getting Sunset out of there too. No one wants to play those changes, and I said it. We weren't gonna see the last of Lotus so far before this map pool exited here, but no Icebox to round it out. It's gonna be Lotus, Haven, and Ascent. We went from like such a colorful and creative map pool to literally some of the 3 most played here, Jared. So what do you make of it?
Yeah, Lotus, I'm excited to see it again and just see like how these like 4 teams in general that we're casting today have the different takes on playing this map. So I'm also interested in like that this is the map pick of Sure's Daycare first. So, I'm really interested to see what they are cooking up for that. But Haven and Ascent, I feel like, as you said, pretty, we're used to it. We've seen them a lot. So I think it's like harder to bring something new to the table with these maps, actually. So yeah, I'm really hoping to see like, since most of the teams are comfortable with these maps already, some unexpected stuff happening. Maybe some agents again. Yeah, I'm just always like wishing for like more excitement in the maps in general. But yeah, I would love to see like to see an ISO pick again and maybe Vice. Fingers crossed.
Well, I have some information for Sure's Daycare that might spice things up a little bit. Maybe not so much of a Vice for when we get to Lotus, but they are running a double, or this is what they ran against, I should say, Hyperspeed Red. So literally their last best of 3 they just played was a double duelist of a Neon Raze and a solo Sentinel, but that solo Sentinel is a deadlock. Now, I feel like when we think of Lotus and deadlocks being selected, it's usually in addition to a Cypher, so I'm a little bit nervous there. But before we confirm our kind of nerves and suspicion, we got to see if that's actually the composition that they're going with. So we get to jump in to Agent Select, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going with, right? But what do you think we're going to see from Little Pups as we get to see some hovers?
Yeah, I'm sure they hear you call that, and Little Pops right now. I'm excited to see a breach alongside that initiator of like LeBron.
Okay.
Yeah, and as well as like okay, stole me the Cypher and the Clove. Yes. Oh my god, is this a double duelist? Double controller. That's interesting.
I do actually really like this. I think it's definitely interesting because I feel like when you think of a double controller, you definitely think of like it filling the 2 roles, which is that aggressive controller, and then also that kind of pseudo sentinel controller of like a Viper or an Astra. So the fact that they're going double down on the aggressive ones shows again that this is a pug squad, and that's something Oomfies is kind of known for, is like they are aimers, right? They're winning at their duels, and that's how they succeed. But Sure's Daycare, that makes me a little bit more scared that they only have a deadlock, especially for their defensive half. But the player that it is that's on there, Cilia Steel, I think has some of the best or the most experience out of those players, maybe alongside Kirasa as well, you could argue. So those are the kind of 2 players I think I'm going to be looking forward to holding up the mantle. But what I am excited for, I think, is that we get that Breach Neon combination that I said that I was asking for when we only had the standalone Neon from Mint last series. So I'm hoping that we get to see a Neon pop off even more.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I feel like right now they will be like Sure's Daycare will be like making up for the not they can kind of have like a sentinel, but like as he said, normally you play the deadlock with the Cypher, so I feel like they will make up for it by going for the aggressive plays here. Again, Raze, Breach, and a Neon, you just like it should be expected to like run it down here, and you can see from the positioning of their positioning from the map here, I feel like they'll be going for like a fast A hit possibly.
Yeah. And it's only the lone Cypher lurk, right? But it's still really a ruse, right? They recognize really fast rotation over to the C site because that's exactly where the exec is coming from. Beautiful paranoia. Gonna have to be respected here, and that respect is gonna be thrown right back into their face, though. Backside, waterfall, all of this control being just dominated here by Little Pups after taking the site, taking the plant here. And there's even utility just keeping these players at bay.
Ooh, cute Asa. Good getting those kills one by one, and Lil Pups now just left down to carry.
Wow.
Oh, 19 HP as well. Our heal currently was just gonna run out any minute. Oh, this right click does it with the classic.
Wow, that went from like 0 to 100, then back to 50, back to 100 for Little Pup so quick, right? What was it, a 4v2 at one point? Bubbles down to 1v1 where Cher's Daycare was heavily favored, and then the RNG right clicks from Carry just come on through here to get them their 3-piece and the closeout and the pistol. Now, we didn't even get to discuss this since we were kind of focused on breaking down what that double controller meant, but they actually shuffled around the roles pretty heavily here in trying to favor a Cypher as well. LeBron of Anked was on Chamber last time they played Lotus, and now, like I said, they shuffle things up, and hopefully it'll prove to be beneficial. But
and
speaking of
yeah,
beneficial,
Lil Pops has to get used to Q-Data's aggressiveness here. They're doubling back and getting those 2 kills for revenge. Oh, and Cher unnoticed for here, a head thing, but it's just not enough to come with the kill. And Lil Pops looking so good so far. They're in A side, and now they only have 2 opponents to face with.
So he did the aggression, dealt with all of them. A little bit of a flank play happening as well, but Avery, you're not going to slip past them. Nissan Cube Lover and Silly as Seal. Like I said, they got a little silly, but not too much for Little Pups to take care of. Carrying the clutch gene into the rifle hero buy and carrying that forward into a Little Pups 2-0.
Yeah, no, I did say that I didn't really like have like a presupposed like thing of like how this map is gonna go, but Carry does ring a bell here. Like,
Yeah.
definitely like have like either heard of them or seen them perform myself. But yeah, just like, and currently top of the scoreboard here with 6 kills already, two rounds down.
And interestingly enough, they were on the Fade, right? And it was Avery that was on the Clove last time they played Lotus, and that was like a pretty 13-9 victory. So they're looking for more than that, I think, here, and for good reason. They have not showed any signs of stopping, right? This deadlock wall not gonna matter when you got a raise, when you got coordination to break it. There's something that's trying to stop it here. A net paranoia combo to keep these players at bay. And it has fragmented them, but has not stopped them still. 4v2 now.
Oh, a little going shaky here for sure. Daycare looking pretty much like the last round where this retake situation has to happen with only 2 players alive. And Cher, 1 controller and 1 duelist just going in, but there's just not much to do.
What?
Okay, wait. Sure, just going in for these 2 kills. Oh, I can faking out the TP as well. Smoke, what it is expected, and Carry has a last turn in the fight. And Lil Pops reached their 3rd score already.
And I was a little bit nervous that Rise was about to overstay their welcome there if they did swing up while Carry was still water, but that scale up was really, really clean from Carry there as well, so that they did end up having to take 2 aim duels, and no crisp aim is going to snap from one to the other, so Carry remains undefeated here, still 0 deaths, and they even have the not dead yet back, so if you think you finally shut down, this Titan, they're going to come right back up for revenge, and that might be sooner than we think. Look, 4 players here ready on the A site. We're probably going to see a Paranoia stun combo, and we are. They're going to just stall out this pressure. Now they're going to tuck away like it never happened. Wait for them. Still draw them in, hopefully, for this A site so they can crunch down on them.
Yeah, and the close eye to make sure that Q-Data hadn't creeped up on them on A main is just really good. But now they're sitting on 3 instead. And okay, evading his utility just by the point. Oh my god, just
there it is.
This utility is just impossible to deal with, and Carry is just
what did I say?
Oh my god, managing to get a kill perhaps if the time is enough, but it's not. And Cher's Daycare now left down to 3 players. So as Lil Pops, this neural tap, so will be tricky, and LeBron makes good use of it.
Yeah, I said you're gonna shut Carry down, they're gonna come back, and while they don't stay alive or find an impact kill, they bought so much time and security for the team, right? You fear Carry, you let them get the plant, you let them reposition here now. So it's back to ground 0 in terms of collecting information, and when you finally find one in Avery, you're not going to see Rise swinging out from the dark cover, from the shadows, literally, to take you down. So 4-0 here for Little Pups again. Like I said, expected to be victorious here, but maybe not this dominantly, right? I did say for sure as Daycare this composition heavily attack favorite in my eyes, but what do you think this composition can bring to them on the defensive side? Like, what can they change so this composition has an edge?
I feel like, positioning your raised crisp to, go for these maybe offensive pushes while you hold down the other two sides could be useful, and using your utility to position your duels is really really important, as you can see right now that Little Pops is doing. Oh, and Carrie just getting these beautiful kills onto B as well, but it's not the side that they're hitting actually. Whoa, want to escape right there but couldn't, and this blind is just beautiful. The paranoia, the swing out, the sure gets 3 kills just from that.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a misclick there from Carrie with the jump, but it's just enough to throw this round into chaos. Shares Daycare, a real opportunity here to get their first round on the board, but Avery is still alive, and like I said, they are a fragger to be trifled with as well. Finds their own, gets out unscathed. Sixth thinks they know where that bomb bot pinpointed a player, but I don't like this timing. They've isolated themselves one after another, and now they're all about to drown at sea. Share.
Oh no.
The daycare attendants are gone. It's a 1v2.
Oh, and almost it commits Sure with the 4-piece, but it's just not enough against Rice. Omen versus Omen. The balance once again is in Little Pop's favor.
Man, we've been robbed of 2 ace clutches today. Can we talk about that, Jaren?
Actually 3. Like that
3?
was 2. Yeah, that was 2.
Was it a clutch though?
No, it was not.
Yeah,
no,
so ace clutch, because cross unities would have been with the deagle, and then that would have been one, right?
Yeah, I feel so. I mean, I just distinctly remember, from the last best of 3, there were 2 4Ks with the sheriff.
Yeah.
That I was just so upset about. And yeah, the same almost is happening right now with Sure's Daycare. Just almost getting these kills and just Little Pop's just making sure as they get along that nobody is just up close. But they have still so much to play with. Look, and Evie are being so aware of this. Oh, but do you expect the second person to be here?
What?
Question, Synchron, with the judge in hand and Cute Asa. They're also the finger guns, trying to find some peaks right here. Doesn't quite work so far, but still the chase is on.
And that chase is going to end in a destination of the A side, but it might be too late. Look how deep Rise is. The judge, though, in sight. Finger gun's enough of a distraction, and now nobody is even close to this spike. Why did we not see sit there and stick it? They would have had it, and now
they are going for it.
Finally.
And yeah, it has been stuck all the way. And sure, Saker, they have their first round in their hands, but I mean, at what cost? Little Pops, that was I can't even describe it. It was just, they weren't aware that the spike was being tapped at all, it seems.
Yeah, they kind of, I feel like, got a little bit overconfident, spread themselves a little bit thin there. So
Yeah.
when Share's Daycare got to the A side as fast as they did, and again, you're kind of fearing the neon buff as well because of how accurate they can be during these slides. It does cause some chaos and some abrasions, but like you said, that does develop into a first round for Share's Daycare. Finally, hopefully some weapons, some recovery here. They still have ults as well, even though they invested the overdrive too. So Stark rotation's probably set really to give up this A site, concede this space, other than maybe sacrificing one duelist, and then they'll play retake.
Oh, this wait stick is beautiful, but it doesn't end up catching Q-Dasa, and the spike will be down, but all of these players are just so up close. Crisp has to kill into Q-Dasa on the side, and all of this deadlock utility as well, catching Crisp. One step forward for Sure's Daycare. I mean, Carrie comes back alive to get these kills, and it just works out in the end for Little Pubs. I mean, how they overwhelm Sure's Daycare is just really intense.
Like I said, Carrie, even when they do fall, which is rare, they are not... Like, that's the second, right, not dead yet they had, right?
Yeah.
Also, is this a breather? Is this a mental exercise? What is this? We are up 6-1, and Little Pups is taking a timeout? I have questions.
Yeah.
Why do you think they took a timeout?
I can't say for sure. They surely do not need it. I mean, the way that this has been going, and the bank is booming, the score is high. What more could you want from your team? I didn't even see not the past round just we just saw, but the round before that. Of course, there were mistakes. Of course, we lost a round to like Shura's Daycare because, of all of these things going on with the chaos. But still, I do not think Lil Pups was in a position to need this timeout. But let's see what they make out of it. I'm still
It's
curious.
it's definitely interesting because, like I said, Oompies are the squad that like would never take timeouts here. So maybe we're seeing that crisp influence a little bit more as well. But I think the only thing I could see as a reason for this timeout would be, look at the old Shira's Daycare has online, right? Rolling Thunder and the Showstopper, and it's an eco round. So this leaves a lot of variability, a lot of creativity for Little Pups to be like, okay, what are they gonna do and how can we avoid it here? Especially because I think some of these players have like some experience with Silius Seal as well. So they might also just trying to get inside their head, be like, how can we counter it? And I mean, I guess the timeout worked, right? They have completely evaded this entire C setup and offensive push from Shira's Daycare. They're gonna waltz onto A.
Yeah, they are going to, but you can see that Shura's Daycare have now taken that timeout to instead focus their offensive push on C side, and they're already deep into their spawn, so Little Pups has nowhere to go. Oh, and Carrie just managed to get the kill, but Q-Daysa, wasn't expecting Q-Daysa's kill right there. Cher is there to follow it up, only with Sheriff just making miracles, this team.
The GCD, and they think they have a chance here this round. Investing in the Rolling Thunder, unfortunately not going to connect on to Rise, and if these players are winning out their 1v1s, if you're going to give them these 1v1s, they're going to shut down your ult investment, they're going to shut down your Thrifty. But even though the gamble was incorrect, the coordination that opened up that round was so clean from Shira's Daycare to find those opening frags.
Yeah, definitely. It didn't count to be enough to score the round, but still, it was really prominent. But I mean, when you have like a player like Carrie who was like so aware of like where they're positioning themselves, especially like, since they didn't really see a lot of pressure from Shira's Daycare on A main, they immediately like knew that something was like wrong. They knew that they were aware that they could be like a flank push, which was what was happening here. But now Shira's Daycare, I feel like they're gonna be switching this like same offensive push towards the B side. But let's see if they can make it count this time. With the Nightfall, it's going to be harder.
Ooh. And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Little Pups just saying, if we're getting A, let's replicate that A success. Like, they're confident in what they can do well, and for good reason. Even when there is this flank play coming through, if the Cypher is there not to handle it when the trap wire is broken, Carrie sure is, right? The player that's been left to handle stairs, able to handle Rubble as well. And just like that, up 8-1. Little Pups dominating here. And this is a good time to ask Jared, whose map pick was this again?
Yeah, question mark. It seems like Little Pups right now, but I just...
It's not.
It's
Shira's
not?
Daycare. Isn't that what makes it even... Like, both of these teams have, I think, some reps in on Lotus. But like I said, Little Pups changed their composition and are still having this profound success. So... I'm concerned right now. I mean, yes, it's an attack-sided map, but is it this attack-sided?
Oh yeah, and Shira's Daycare, they have switched their offensive push again. Okay, getting caught up in the Cypher utility, so now they're going to be aware, Little Pups, that this flank play is going in. So they're instead focusing on the mains. And Q-Daysa is only able to get one kill with her ult, unfortunately.
Yeah, not as much impact as it had the last time, but 3v4 now, flank upon flank, none coming up the way they want it to. Paranoia as well, proactively, like millisecond reaction time as that switch is flipped. And again, they just group up so fast, take down any of the plays Shira's Daycare is making, right? Like, I feel like this is night and day to the last Lotus we saw, because, like I said, there was this kind of, like, push and pull from both teams where these adjustments that the opponent was making worked for a few rounds, and then the opponent, like, changed right back, right? But Shira's Daycare consistently changing, trying different things out, and none of them are wavering Little Pups. So what do you do when you're in this mental hole, Jaren?
I feel like the lack of like a conventional sentinel is really showing through here. So as I said, I predicted that they'd be trying to make up for that with just these pushes, but it just doesn't work when Little Pups is just so organized and like so like sticking up together and getting these kills. And you can see it unfold once again, all of these fights, and they seem to be handling it so well. They're just so aware of where everybody is. And we talked about carry before, but like all of these players, LeBron, Avery, Rice, Crisp, like it's all falling into place together, and I can't really see this team going wrong currently.
I mean, already double digits here. Like, hey, at least you're not gonna get 13-0'd, but Shares Daycare, another buy in the tank. Last round of half, you're going to force up what you can, and you better invest these ultimates as well. Sithrin, I feel like, has been sitting on this showstopper for a larger part of the half as well. So I want to see those invested in more heavily, because Little Pups, like I said, we've seen them invest ultimates as soon as they have gotten them. And Carry, this is their third not dead yet of the half. And look at this again. I talk about it. The flanks upon flanks from Shares Daycare. This is the one consistency they haven't changed. And this time, Kudessa, I like the higher uses. Get out of dodge.
Okay, Carry is alive, so escape Carry. Mission activated. And yes, this he will be going down in the end. And Cyprian also gets a kill onto LeBron with the judge. Interesting to see, but Spike is already over towards the A side. Rise did contemplate using from the shadows, but it doesn't seem to be viable quite just yet.
Alright. Just like that. Finally! You know? And light at the end of the tunnel here, just as the tunnel comes to an end, aka the half. 10-2 here. I said it's an attack-sided map. I said this was an attack-sided composition for Shares Daycare, but you have so little room for error. And this is the most volatile round, the pistol round, right? So we got to see them win this. So obviously sides are swapped. What can you maybe identify here is that they can use to like win this pistol from what we saw to Little Pups in the first half?
I think Shares Daycare is more focusing on their utility instead of course, you know, they don't have like full goals here. So what I'm noticing is they'll be leaning heavily on the utility usage to get into A side and get the plant down, and then maybe like say whatever's left for the pulse plant. But they need to get through like this 2-stack first here.
Oh, right. 5v5. Heavy tree presence. Doing a good job of keeping Avery at bay here. Talk about taking multiple player-favored duels, and they did finally. No player left in a 1v1. So they've taken a few players down, but Carry still alive, healed off of the pick me up, and it's Shirley picking them up here. Beautiful aftershock, though. They're going to circumvent it, but their position's still going to be known, and this is a difficult task, but one they can deliver upon. 2 HP, another ace in the cards. They don't know where Cher is, and all it takes is one bullet. The 14 HP denied the ace clutch before, but given the clutch to keep Shares Daycare in contention for map number 1.
That was amazing, and I believe that Carrie would be able to do that. I was like, 1, 2, 3, where's this going? But yeah, Cher did really manage that situation well, and the pistol round goes to Shares Daycare, which means, you know, a good position to go for the anti-eco by here.
For sure, and this is funny, and the 2 shorties on it. I'm glad to see Little Pups isn't like doing anything drastic, like forcing, right? They're just gonna take the victory that they assume they're gonna find when it comes, but this would be a terrible Thrifty to lose. So Shares Daycare, I don't want to see them get too eager off the weapons, off the round they won. They are going into the C site. Ooh, Deadlock's going to stall out their own Neon. The wall is out. Crisp might have a timing here.
Crisp,
no way.
Out. Okay, LeBron dinks the head, but
beautiful.
Okay. What is going on here? Is this the Lotus being an attacker-sided map, or is this caster curse? What's going on here, Zobi?
I think once we get rifles in hand, we'll truly begin to know. Because I think that round in particular, obviously, is just the advantage of a pistol buy-up in your second round. Maybe also, you know, the fact that Little Pups did opt into 2 shorties as well helped them out a little bit there, because then they had to play in these very awkward positions. So yeah. I did like the little CT take, and I like that, again, they're cleaning up their biggest issue was they were giving these star players for Little Pups a lot of 1v1 opportunities in that first half, and they aren't doing that anymore. But now if you're taking a head-on duel here, if you just get your trades,